Okay, let's just send that. Okay, we are live. Welcome, guys. This is the revival of Toaru podcast, and it's been quite a number of months since the last time we did it, back when Genesis Testament 4 was fully translated back in May, I think. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a good time to bring the podcast back after such a long time, and I'm just really happy to be able to talk to some fine guests, new and old. So we have Malcolm returning as always, and Malcolm, I think, is just going to become a permanent member at this stage. And we have Kyrass as well, back from the very first podcast.
What up?
Yeah, I always wanted to bring you back on, but since you weren't caught up with the novels, it was like kind of difficult to like fit you in.
Yeah, I've been trying to catch up, but like I got a lot of books I need to read.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, this is kind of like a soft reboot of the podcast in a way, so I thought we'd just keep things simple and not have like too many like spoiler stuff. I mean, we might talk about New Testament later on, but nothing really Genesis Testament related, apart from maybe discussing the cover, because that kind of released like yesterday or the day before. So I think we could just mention that, but nothing like spoiler related in terms of the newest novel. And of course, we have our new guest, which is Emerald. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello. First of all, thank you for having me on. If anyone does not know me, I run a channel under the same name, Emerald, and I make very long, probably way too long videos about the Tuaru series. And I've been doing a little series where I've been talking about my experience with reading the New Testament novels for the first time, and it's been a lot of fun. A lot of people have been enjoying them. So yeah, if you've got an hour and a half to spare, you can listen to me talk about the Magic God Othinus arc.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed personally listening to your thoughts about these volumes, since I haven't read them in like such a long time. So it's kind of been like a refresher to me just to like hear your thoughts about them, even if, you know, as like a first time reader, it actually is interesting for like someone who's like caught up to listen to. And yeah, I think you articulate like the pros and sometimes the cons of the volumes like pretty well, and you seem like really invested in the series, more so than I think you were prior to reading the novels.
Yeah. So I was anime only for a while. I got into the series back in 2018 when Index 3 was airing, and I just really enjoyed the anime, and then later found out that the adaptation's not as good as I would have thought, and so I pretty much just picked up the light novels from there, or really in the last year, just because of the great things I've heard about them, and I don't see a ton of people making videos about the series, and it's a series I really like talking about, so it's been a lot of fun to talk about it on the channel.
Yeah, for sure. And who's mashing on their keyboard? Like, who's being the keyboard warrior?
Sorry.
I'm just layering the keyboard warrior in the background. It's like, were you like the Twitter like argument then, Malcolm? Because you were going ham on that.
I didn't think it'd be that loud.
Apparently it is. I don't think we have like the privilege of like the filter, or like, because we usually do on like Discord, but I don't know about StreamYard.
That could be it. Then.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a setting in, but maybe, who knows. But yeah, I mean, you also do like music, is that correct, Emerald?
I do. Yeah, I guess I didn't advertise that part because I think the Emerald thing is a little bit more relevant. But I did actually make a song in my Othinus video that was supposed to play like what I had in my head playing for the epilogue of New Testament 8, because I thought that moment was just like super hype when I was reading it. And yeah, but you know what? I'm here to talk about Tuaru.
Yeah, why not? I mean, yeah, it's really cool like seeing people feel inspired by like the Othinus art, because we've had like, you know, MADs or MADs, whatever you want to call them, or like
AMVs.
Video. Yeah, AMVs, I guess you could call them, but I mean, it's not been adapted into an anime yet. Although we got that little like few second clip of animated Othinus in like the 10th anniversary promotional video back in like 2014, I think, which was kind of cool. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have not.
Yeah, it's like how long is it? It's like a few minute video, like yeah, but it's like celebrating like the 10th anniversary of Index, but it's got like a load of different Kamachi verse characters in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like the first.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's like the first time we see like heavy objects characters animated. It's the first time we see like Orphanus animated with 4 and Marianne as well. They're in it for like a few split seconds.
I think that's what they used to reveal the Blood Signs novels. I think that was their reveal trailer too at the very end.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, because they do appear right at the end, don't they? White Queen and Kyosuke.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they also released like a few like chibi figures for that as well, and one of them was Orphanus. Like they released an Orphanus figure, and I've actually got it.
Yeah.
I think I saw it once in a con, and I was like, I didn't have any money left at the time because
Bruh.
I was just like, well, it was also open box. It wasn't like in the box. It was like open box, and I was like, I don't trust this.
Man, so I went to this store at a local mall of mine, and it's like this big Japanese store, and they had this doll. Like it looked like a doll your grandma would own, but it looked like Index, right? It was Index branded. It was the character Index. And it was like $60 at the time. And I was like, part of me, because this was like 2012 is when I saw it. So still early English Index fandom. And I wanted to sort of get it just because I really liked Index, but I decided against it because I'm like, it's $60 and it's a doll. I'm not a girl. And then about a year ago, I was looking on eBay and stuff for Index stuff, and I found the doll again, but there it was like $2,000.
Dude.
So,
wow.
Just you should just give in to temptation is the lesson I learned, and buy your anime figurines.
Amen.
Amen.
Yo,
to that.
just want to say thanks Hydra for the super chat. Got to go.
Super
Glad
chats.
see you're doing well. Thank you very much, man. We appreciate that, even though you have to go. That's very, very generous of you. Thank you.
Didn't even know we got super chats.
Hell yeah.
We're all getting a cut, right?
Everybody gets 50 cents.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you want the YouTube peasant money, then line up.
My appearance fees, please.
And because like I'm in Europe, and is that like what currency is that? Is that like CA?
That's Canada, right?
Oh, Canadian. Yeah, I thought it'd be Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
So
my northern brethren.
So we'd have to convert that into US dollars and British pounds. So I'm just curious how how much we get each from that.
After
Less than $2 in USD. So it's actually probably like 160 or something.
I feel like we probably just by the time we got out of the translation or whatever the transaction fees, it'd be like a penny, American wise.
Well,
I'll take it. You think I won't take it?
Give me my 2 cents.
Yeah. So how was your day, Alistair?
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned. Well, it's Halloween, so happy Halloween, everyone. We're supposed to acknowledge it this time, since the previous time we had a Halloween special, we didn't really give it much attention. But yeah, and because it's Halloween, I was scared shitless. Because, all right, so I had an issue with my laptop, and I thought, okay, my laptop charger is broken because like the lead is kind of exposed and shit. And I thought, oh, well, I'll have to order a new one off Amazon or something. So that's what I did. But then I realized, oh shit, it's not the charger, it's the charging port. And this is the day of the podcast, and I'm like, fuck. What am I gonna do? This is like the worst time for me to have like this issue. So yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? And luckily, I managed to borrow a laptop for this, but it's like super ancient. But it took like 10 minutes to boot up. I'm not even joking. But luckily, it's working okay, and everything's going smoothly for now. But I swear I had the worst luck with technology. And luckily, my laptop's still under warranty. So I literally spoke to the manufacturer, like the nearest customer center, whatever you call it. Yeah. So they said, okay, we'll order the part for you and you just come in and we'll get it fixed the same day. And I'm like, that'd be fucking amazing. Thank you. So fingers crossed, because like I'm meant to be going back like home to see my family next week. So yeah, I kind of need it done before then because, I want to be uploading weekly because, that's what I like to do in this channel. And I feel bad if I don't upload weekly. And I was in like the process of making the Battle Royale arc video. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. I've done like half of it. So as long as I get it done, get it repaired before like the end of the week, I should have that out, touch wood. So yeah, that's my stressful day. And I've been having a rum to relieve that stress. So yeah, cheers.
Well, now you're here with the boys.
Cheers.
So yeah, that's my little rant over there. Sorry for going overboard there, but I just need to get that off my chest. Like when...
No, you're fine, man.
Yeah, it's just... pain, because, it's not just like a laptop where you just dick about on fucking games. It's, it's YouTube. It's like my part-time job in a way. So it's like, I have an obligation to have this working.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Did any of you guys do anything for Halloween? Or
I got a party later.
Oh, hell yeah.
Supposed to bring some alcohol.
Nice. You're more sociable than me in Halloween.
Like, I won't be drunk now. I'll be drunk later.
Good man. Anyone else?
Picked up a pig.
I got nothing.
Now, the real celebration is the day after Halloween when they sell all their candy at discount price.
Ooh.
Oh, for sure.
You go to the store and just buy your own bag of candy.
That's a good point. That's true.
You just be quoting the doctor from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Mm-hmm. You just
cut out the middle on a stick.
It's just like, when you're an adult, you don't have to buy candy for the kids. You just buy your own candy.
Right.
I like this comment that just said "Happy British Halloween." I'm surprised no one made that joke yet.
Well, last year's, I think that was in last year's Tuaru podcast on Halloween.
Was it? Did we actually reference that? Because like my memory of the Halloween podcast was like we didn't even mention Halloween for like most of it.
I think I mentioned I remembered it halfway through and mentioned it to you. And
right.
And then nothing ever came of it.
All right, fair enough. I mean, probably because like what is British Halloween? Like I know it's the arc. Okay, yes, I know the royal family arc, but like we never like. Obviously, I'm British, and we never mention British Halloween. It's just Halloween. And in the timeline, the British Halloween arc is like on the 23rd of October or something like that.
Uh-huh.
It's not even Halloween. It's like, I'm just confused. Like,
well,
what the fuck does it mean?
I thought British Halloween was putting biscuits in like tea bags in children's bags. And...
No. That would be the trick, the trick or treat, surely. But but nah. Like I have never encountered that in my life, unless I'm just like not culturally British enough. But I should be because like I'm like 100% British.
Right. I mean, Kazuma Kamachi's like his perspective of Western countries it's really funny to me. It's very funny to me, especially when you get to like New Testament 3, his perspective of America.
Oh God, the president.
GT4 goes even further into it.
Oh God,
it's
funny.
Like I swear, like I mean, New Testament 3, like Roberto is hilarious, but in like without spoiling GT4, like obviously Roberto's in GT4, but like there's so many scenes where Roberto is in that volume where it just feels like a complete shit post. Like it's just like if you thought New Testament 3 was like crazy, like GT4 amplifies it in terms of what Roberto does. Like it's just what the fuck is going on?
It's funny because like Kamachi both like understands how like the political game is played, while simultaneously just like he'll give like a very real interpretation of how like political factions work, and then all of a sudden what happens, and it's just like, wait, Kamachi, no, this isn't how we do politics here yet.
No, I don't think anyone in America understands American politics.
I don't think anyone
Yeah.
understands politics.
That is also true. These are both factual
you're right.
statements.
Speaking of politics, what do we think about the politics of Toaru? Because I know, Emerald, you've kind of mentioned that in your video, and it kind of made me think about it in terms of like the foreign policy. I guess it's more like diplomacy and foreign policy between like the science and magic side.
It is. It's really. Oh, I should have turned my notifications off. It's really like oddly grandiose and just, in my opinion, really well thought out. And there are a few arcs in particular that I think are actually just great political arcs. That actually the arcs we were literally just talking about with British royal family and Hawaii invasion. It's like I really love the way that world powers are all like meaningfully involved, and you get to see that a lot in the Oathness arc as well. But it's like you're right when Malcolm, when you said that he does pay a lot of attention to like the realism of how like political factions work. And that's something I really liked about Olay Blue Shake, and that's something that I probably liked more about New Testament 3 than literally everyone else, because I haven't heard much positive about that volume for some reason. But even to the point where someone like Olay Blue Shake has so much power because she owns like so many major companies and is a part of like so many different industries, that she literally influences the outcomes of elections, which I can kind of see that. You can kind of see that a little bit in real life with like corporations and stuff. Now, talking a lot about politics, but I also really like the way that it's handled in New Testament 17, when you have like well, to specify, there's like, you know, the real life sort of like shaky history between England and France is actually something relevant in that volume. And I really liked Carissa's entire perspective on that, on her trying to turn England into like this world power. And so her first target is France, which I just find really funny.
You gotta take out your rivals first.
I mean, she needs to take out France, then just go for Germany afterwards.
Yeah. You can't let them get a head start.
Am I alone in loving the British royal family arc? Like, what do you guys think?
No.
No, I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good arc. That's the one right before World War III, right? Like, I'm not mixing that up with something else.
Yeah. You have like Dragon Arc and then World War III.
Yeah.
It's a bit confusing because it like jumps to a bunch of locations right before World War III, because you like it's sort of like it does Battle Royale and then it goes into like the British royal family, I think, and then it jumps back to like the aftermath of Battle Royale, and then everyone's suddenly in Russia. It was very it could be hard to keep track of at times.
That man should have been jet lagged.
Honestly.
Real.
But yeah, most like fans really love that arc. I mean, the anime adaptation of it was
disgusting.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be honest, out of like the arcs that were adapted, like it's probably like the one of the least butchered. But I don't know.
Really?
Still, yeah. I mean, like I feel like Battle Royale was more butchered, and
Battle Royale, like. Yeah. I watched a lot of it, Index 3, with my little brother. He's not a kid either, so he's just my younger brother by a few years. But like as we were watching it, I had to explain things that were cut out of the anime because they cut out so much stuff that if you don't have somebody to like interpret things for you, you're completely lost. And even then, like there were sections of Index 3 where like I'm watching it and I'm like, wait, I don't even know what's happening here, and I've read the books. So just interpreting Index 3 in general for a lot of the arcs, other than like maybe the first arc, I think the first arc was like the least cut into, probably.
Yeah, I would say that.
I had rewatched some of the arcs after I read the volumes, and I thought the first arc was fine,
Hmm.
but British royal family kind of hurt me on a physical level because and something I noticed is that I think the very first arc in the series, the index arc, got like that's one volume, right?
Hmm.
And it got 6 episodes, and then British royal family is 2 volumes, both volumes being longer than the index, the very first volume, and it got 5 episodes.
Yeah,
I thought that was insanity.
every book
Mhm.
only got 3 to 2 episodes, I think.
See,
for
they could
Index 3.
they could have cut out like a lot of the chasing in the royal arc. Like, if they wanted to like cut it down, they should have just cut out a lot of like the back and forth running around.
Speaking of the British royal family, since we're on the politics portion, I've noticed Kamachi's very big on writing like very patriotic characters.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
The
yes, I
British
know
royal
exactly what you mean.
family and Roberto, they're leaders of the country, but like compared to like actual leaders of countries, they seem a lot more patriotic than a lot of them. Like,
They actually give a shit about their country.
yeah, a lot of the stuff about Roberto in GT4 too, which I won't go into, but
Mm.
like that guy, he's like American to the soul.
Honestly, that dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess it might be like the Japanese perspective of Western countries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Because
it.
yeah, because I think the Japanese like perspective of America is that America's like extremely patriotic, and Roberto might be the epitome of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like in terms of like Britain as like this historic like superpower, I guess it's also to do with that as well.
I mean, yeah, when I was over in Japan, they kind of like assume for the most part that you're like when you're American, they're just kind of like, oh yeah, he's American. He talks. They think you're gonna talk a lot, and it's like no, but and they'll also just like kind of assume. Sorry, I'm trying to remember. This was like 3 years ago at this point when I went. They'll just kind of like, like the series, like all the stuff we were just talking about. They'll kind of assume that like you're very patriotic, and it's like, nah, dude, I'm just here. Like, I think I went the week of when our former president Trump was there, and they had a lot of stuff going on for that. It was very awkward.
Like I think Japan in and of itself is fairly patriotic. Like they've always seemed to have a very Japan first sort of mindset, I think. So
yeah, it's not always a good thing, but
yeah.
it's also not like a bad thing over there. But it's kind of like, it has its good points, but also it's got its bad points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess it's a product of what happened like with the Second World War, then after that, because obviously in the Second World War, Japan was like uber nationalistic with basically worshipping the emperor as a god. And then after that, they're like, oh, wait, he might not be a god, actually. So let's become a democracy.
Well, a lot of it was because of the America sort of running the country for a few years after that. Sort of like they sort of reestablished political norms, or like renewed maybe political norms. They sort of put more of an American idealism in their political norms of like democracy and stuff.
They stopped being imperialistic and went over to more a democracy, which like in the span of a couple of years after World War II, and it hasn't exactly gone away from there. I mean, they don't even have a military anymore. They have the self-defense force, but it's not really a military. We have but they got good. I will say this: their train system, fantastic.
Oh yeah, their trains are like
that. It was never late, like never.
Yeah, I've heard if it's even late, like even by a couple minutes, it's like a newspaper-worthy story, and the train station will give you like a note to bring to your workplace or school, because like Normally
believe you.
they wouldn't. Yeah, they won't believe you if you just say, "Oh, the train was late." Like in the U.S., it's like every train is late. There's never been a train on time, but in Japan, it's very much the opposite.
Oh yeah, no, that shit was on time like to the minute, and then pretty much you just transfer line to line, and it was a little jarring at first, I want to say, but once you figure out the train system map, it's kind of easier than you would think, as long as you kind of like know where you're going. And if not,
Yeah.
you can always just ask people for directions, because a surprising amount of people wanted to practice English,
Oh, that's good.
because this was right before the Olympics were happening.
Ah,
So everyone's like, yeah, let's practice our English on these people.
I'm curious about something. When you visited Japan, did you get to go to Tachikawa City? Because that's like the part of Tokyo which Academy City is allegedly based off.
Let me think. Because we were in Tokyo, so I want to say we probably did.
Tokyo's a big place, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Tokyo prefecture is really big. We were mainly in like central Tokyo, because I know we went to Akihabara. That place is fantastic, by the way. They got like everything.
Maid cafes.
I went to a Maid cafe.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Oh
lie.
my god, did you?
I did it for the clout. I did it for the clout.
Let's fucking go. All right, tell us the experience about the Maid cafe.
Okay, so like you go in, and it's as good. It's honestly like you go in, and they hand out like the menu, and it's like you reserve a time slot basically. So you have like you can stay for like 40. I think it's like 30 or 60 minutes. You go in, and they got cute maid girls. What do you want me to say? You basically get like, you can pay for like packages, I want to say, of like entertainment, because it's all for entertainment, honestly. It's kind of like, it's just, they're acting per se. You get, there was a package, you get to you could take a picture, and they give you like a little the instant pictures, where they like slide out and then they sign it and everything.
Oh yeah.
I think I still have it somewhere.
What are you called? It's like a Polaroid.
Polaroid, yeah. They give you a Polaroid.
Yeah.
Let me get it out real quick so I can like remember off the top of my head. And they give you like different. You basically can pick whatever food you want, or whatever they have. A lot of it was like desserts and stuff. And I had like this. I had like a ice cream cup thing that had a lot of like different flavors in it. It was pretty good. And I can't read. I cannot. The one I went to was Maid Dreamin'. But they did it like MAID and then REAMIN. So it was Maid Dreamin' or something like that. And they give you like a little passport thing for you to take with you, and they're like, yeah, here's the picture, and you get like little like they had like cat ears and stuff when you take the picture. And
Wow.
it's very fun. It's very fun, actually. Like, I went for the clout, not gonna lie. Me and my cousins had a blast, but it was honestly really fun. Like, I thought it was just gonna be like kind of like cheesy and cringy. It was not. It was actually really fun, and like the food was actually pretty good.
Dang. Well, that's the first place I'm going to go when I visit Japan one day.
They have a couple different maid cafes. That's the thing. Like, they have they have so many different locations. We were just kind of like, okay, which one do we want to go to? We just kind of like, we're closest to this one at the moment. And then it was in an elevator inside of a building, which was it would, in any other circumstance, that would be very shady for like a restaurant. But it's Japan, so they build everything literally up and down.
Yeah, it's so condensed.
It's kind of nice though, just because like everything's so close.
Mm-hmm.
And then the train of thought just left the station.
Speaking of stations, well, I'm not going to talk about stations specifically, but yeah, I mean, like back to Tachikawa, like they have like vending machines, like Tuaru vending machines. So if you really want to, you can reenact the chaser by kicking it. and maybe some soda or coffee will come out of it.
Or you go to jail.
Dang.
Yeah, or you go to jail
Oh.
because the police and stuff are pretty strict in Japan, obviously.
I could not. I did not find one of those vending machines, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have. You would think that I would have been able to find one, considering Japan has vending machines all over the place. That is no lie. Like every street corner.
I'm pretty sure I've seen like Mikoto cosplayers like reenacting that scene of just kicking the vending machine. It's kind of funny to see.
Yeah, but these vending machines in Tachikawa have actual like Tuaru characters on them.
Do they have
And
the weird
sometimes-
sodas?
Yeah,
I
and
didn't
sometimes they
notice
have
that.
like the actual drinks from the anime as well.
Gross, but cool.
Oh dang.
Yeah, so I'd love to go there and basically just do like a vlog of just like me like hunting these vending machines or like trying to find the railgun cafe and then like going to like different scenes from the anime, like because they use a lot of like the landscapes from Tachikawa in the anime.
Mhm.
So that would be a cool video. That's just a dream for now because I'm not visiting Japan anytime soon.
Oh yeah, no, I went like pre-COVID. That's why. It was
yeah.
everything.
lucky.
I'll send a picture of the Discord of the Maid thing real quick.
I'll say.
Oh, we get to see the Maid?
Yeah,
Maid hype?
you get to see me too, but that doesn't matter.
Oh, I mean, that's
I'm-
better than Maid.
Yeah, I know. I'm in the picture too, but like don't
that's
mind me.
great.
Oh,
that's
wow.
great.
Oh,
That
wow.
is- Thank you. They know the English.
Oh yeah, no, their English is pretty good.
I love that the
Oh.
dots of the eyes are hearts.
Oh my, yeah, they know how to do it up over there.
Do people leave tips for them? Like you
No,
do in America, or just
No, you don't tip in Japan.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah,
I
you
guess
don't
that's
actually.
a very like Western idea then.
Yeah, it's a very Western thing because of a couple different reasons.
Yeah, I think it's because like they feel like you're basically judging them when they're meant to do their best like every day.
mhm.
Yeah, over there, it's like it's just part of the job for them. But over here, it's more or less because we don't get paid enough to like survive on that. So they're like, yeah, let's make up profits by making them get tips. But then they tax the tips, and you're just kind of like, why?
I know
Dick
the
move.
tips came about because of the Great Depression is when the tip
Yeah.
system started because companies couldn't really afford it was the only way to hire people while still being able to pay them.
Oh yeah, and then it just kind of
yeah,
stuck
and
around.
restaurants sort of run on small profits anyways.
it's
So
it's a profit margin.
Yeah.
But then they don't. But then there's also the fact that like they don't have enough of like they don't pay. They haven't like boosted up the cost of their items to bring it back
Mhm.
to counterweight the fact that people need to get paid more. So then
Yeah.
that's where the tips are supposed to come in. But then people don't really tip enough anyway, especially when you have to split it between people in the back too, like the cooks and the washers.
Oh yeah, I imagine.
Why do I know all this?
So the politics of Index.
Yeah, back to
Yeah.
Sorry to derail there, but
This
like
is an anime podcast, right?
Wait, it is? Oh, I get that reference.
But speaking of the politics, something that's always like bugged me is whenever, because I see it on Twitter a lot, is people will say the status quo of Index never changes and all that.
Oh, I hate
And-
that comment.
Every time I like see that, I'm like, have we been reading the same book? Because like the main characters don't have to have like a complete shift in like how they're living to count as like a status quo change. Like the world of Index is like constantly changing because of the constant shift of like political power and everything. That I can never say, like every 12 novels, go back and tell me that the world of Index is the same as it was 12 novels before. And then tell me that Index 1 is like the world of Index there is the same as it is in GT 4 or 5. Because like Index is like, it seems like some people just expect Toma to like, his entire family has died. He's going on a journey outside of Academy City to fight the strongest magician. Like just go into like a generic like shonen setup. But I can't. I've never been able to understand how you can like look at Index and just say because Toma's still living with Index and he hasn't like been scarred by his reality that the series has not shifted its status quo. When you have like characters like Accelerator and Hamazura and these constant like changes, it blows my mind.
I mean,
didn't
Toma
even know
doesn't
that
want his
was
daily
it.
life to change. That's the thing.
Right.
True. I didn't even know that was a criticism about the series. That's pretty crazy.
Oh, you'll find a load of different things on Twitter.
Yeah.
One thing
I
that
imagine.
has never changed is flip phones in Index. Everyone has a flip phone.
Even Aqua.
Yeah.
Academy City, the greatest, the most advanced, 30 years ahead of its time civilization has flip
Oh
phones.
yeah. Wait. Even Iwas had a flip phone. In like, why does Iwas need a flip phone? It's like this godlike angelic being needs a flip phone to speak to Aleister. Are you fucking serious? What the fuck is that? Like,
Japan was really late in adopting smartphones compared to the rest of the world. It's actually really interesting.
It's like at the time he was writing this, flip phones were still a thing. But the series has gone so far into the future, current time now, that flip phones are obsolete. And I don't think he ever really retconned that into existence, that smartphones were a thing.
I think like for Makoto's case, because she uses the Gekida flip phone, I think it could have, if he started writing everybody with, smartphones, it would be an interesting character piece for Makoto to still use the flip phone just because it's Gekida.
Oh no, I fully expect
yeah.
Makoto to keep her phone. Just because it's
Wait.
Gekkoda.
Maybe Cosmic Kamachi is actually just like 2 decades ahead of us, and we're all eventually going to revert back to flip phones.
True. He did give the city Roombas before everyone else had them.
That is true. Public Roombas. But back to the status quo thing. Like, no, I don't like. I can understand there if you're just looking at Toma specifically, but the key point of that, Toma just wants to keep his he wants to keep his status quo. He doesn't want it to change. That was the whole reason for him fighting, was that he didn't want to give up his days in Academy City with Index and his friends. He didn't want that to change.
Yeah, I saw
that
the
was
criticism come on really strong after Inti 22R.
Yeah, I could see that.
Well, I just think it's stupid. Like, you don't even have to like be caught up with GT to know the status quo has changed. I mean, just look at like the world after World War III, like the power shift. Like the Roman Catholic Church has basically lost all. Well, okay, it still has over 2 billion members, as they like to quote. But at the end of the day, they've lost pretty much all their power because
Yeah, soft power.
Fiamma was basically the bulk of it, and he's got on Oliver's little crew trip, whatever you want to call it. But
God's right seat.
By the end of OT, like Academy City becomes like a proper superpower in a way, you know.
They literally go to war with the rest of the world.
Yeah,
And it is one city. Put that into perspective. They literally fought off like half the world with one city.
Yeah.
So.
And like, then you have like Gremlin who come into the mix, and well, if you haven't read New Testament, this is kind of spoilery, but not much. I mean, like, because Gremlin, they're like a fusion of like magic and science, and then that's foreshadowing for how the two blend and interact in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read GT, it's still relevant. It's a natural progression, and okay. You still have Academy City around. You still have Terma and his dormitory, whatever you want to call it. But like, I feel like the people on Twitter just want like a Fallout or Terminator type Judgment Day shit, where just nuke the entire fucking world and then the status quo has changed.
Or just like Academy City's gone entirely is what they want. But the way I like see Academy City is it's like Gotham City, in that like the city itself is a character.
Yeah.
And that would be like me being like, I don't like Batman. The status quo hasn't changed. He's still a rich guy, and he's still in Gotham City. It's like,
and he's still an orphan.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
Like Academy City is it's a set character piece. Like you can't just change Academy City. You can
Yeah.
change the stuff that goes on inside of it, but as a whole point, you can't change the city itself.
Like in certain arcs on the second half of NT, where Academy City is a bit more in a bad spot, like you sort of feel that. Like personally, I sort of felt like, oh no, like this is like a character to me. So seeing it in this state doesn't like feel good to me.
Oh yeah, no, like that whole I want to say the end of Index season 2. I want to say that like the last arc, I think, where like Aqua shows up and like literally the city has gone to shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the arc where like Accelerator throws a building, I think, and like just the city gets fucked up. But then you're like, it'll get fixed in a week.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
I think Cosmo Kamachi does a great job of discussing the aftermath of pretty major events. So one thing that I really liked about New Testament 3 was that Saronia was going on this huge monologue about how after World War III, since Russia lost, Academy City was entirely like reassessing Russia's their power and their resources. And that's why someone like her even joined Gremlin in the first place, was because that, really upset her, because she was a very nationalistic character as well. But my point was like, I mean, that's a pretty clear change in like the power of Russia in the world, when you literally have Academy City like reassessing like their position in the world. So yeah, I don't think that's a very good argument about what, I guess, upholding the status quo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. It's just, it blows my mind every time I hear it, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I want to like argue so bad when I hear people say it. I want to just go full on like Reddit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not there's plenty of other bad takes on Twitter. It's just Toaru Twitter for you in a way.
Yeah.
But you end up just ignoring most of it. It's just like,
Yeah, you sort of just have to accept it.
because like I've called people out, but like you just don't want to be like arguing on Twitter constantly. It's just like a waste of time.
It really is.
They never change their minds anyways, so it's like,
They don't
why
learn.
argue?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I know we talked about the politics of Tuaru for quite a while, but I just want to add like one like historical element into the mix, because I feel like Kamachi was kind of inspired like by like the Cold War in a way, in terms of like you have like the divide of like magic and science in terms of like the divide of like communism and capitalism, or like East and West with like Russia and USA. I get those kind of vibes of it, because they're basically just like, I mean, you don't really have like many spies apart from like Motoharu, but you kind of have like them both working behind the scenes to try and avoid a war with each other. But at the same time, I guess it's like an appeasement type policy, where it's like they're really scared of starting a war, and yet you do have like a few individuals who are pretty much instigating a war while not explicitly mentioning it. Because Aleister is kind of like that, like some like there's this one guy who commented on my Alistair video saying like, oh, Alistair didn't like start World War III, and I'm like, yeah, okay, he didn't. I mean, it was Fiamma pretty much, but like
Alistair put the gun on the table.
Yeah,
Fiamma pulled the trigger.
Yeah, he was like, Alistair knew what he was doing. He was basically just sending out Toma to fuck with the Roman Catholic Church just to piss them off, and then the Roman Catholic Church did try to destroy Academy City once in the Iceboat arc, and then nearly destroyed it again during the invasion arc with Vento. So yeah, it's kind of like, I don't want to call Alistair Hitler in a way, but it's kind of like that vibe in the 1930s, where you get like the different political leaders who are really scared about starting another First World War, because the First World War is so catastrophic. They're like, oh shit, we can't have another First World War. But then you have Aleister, who's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to start another war. But at the same time, he's basically pulling the strings so that it does become a reality. And then that in the aftermath of the war, then it will benefit him in the end. And that's pretty much what it does, without spoiling New Testament.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not going to start a world war, but I'm not going to stop it either.
Yeah, pretty much. So shall we move on to a different point?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, let's move on to current events, since there's been quite a lot going on in the fandom, considering we've had no like anime. I know like anime is like the peak of news, and everyone is just like so thirsty for like Index season 4 or New Testament, whatever you want to call it. I mean, we can touch upon it, like see if it might get announced in the December Dengeki Fest. But yeah, otherwise, I don't know. Do you guys think it'll get announced?
I think something will get announced, and it'll disappoint all of us.
Yeah, I mean,
Seems realistic.
Hard to
to be
agree.
fair, how many
Yeah.
years did we wait for Index 3?
A long time.
We had a
Well,
lot of
depends.
memes about it. I still got memes on my
Yeah.
phone somewhere about it. It was a long ass wait, but I don't know if we get anything this soon. Even
I
though
think in the promotional art, all the animes that they had like shown off and stuff had some sort of, or all the light novel characters they showed off in the promotional art had some sort of anime project in relation to them, except for Index, who just happened to be there. So I think some people have interpreted that as Index project for certain.
Mhm.
I wouldn't expect anything. Although one thing I would suggest is if they want to do New Testament stuff, I want to say they should make the Orthodox arc. I want to say they should make that like a movie trilogy. Just those
That's
three
what
novels.
I've said
That
before.
would be
Yeah.
Like
cool.
do what Fate did. Do the Heaven's Feel trilogy, but make it the Orthodox arc. Just 3 movies.
Just put all the budget into it.
Just put a whole budget into it because that's the only way they could do it justice. Like make the whole last movie the last. Actually, the movie would have to be the best
Mhm.
budget wise, just because of the stuff that goes on.
My only fear for like something like that is the average like movie length is what, like an hour and a half, between an hour and a half and 2 hours. I feel like that would only give us about the same amount of screen time as like 3 episodes of the anime, 3 or 4 episodes of the anime, which we've already sort of established is rarely enough time to fully tell the stories. I think maybe in 9 could work because it's the shortest. It's a very short novel compared to a lot of his other stuff.
Yeah, I would. Well, the Orthodox arc is how many books? Is the
3
main
books.
one?
Yeah, 3.
So they could do a novel, a movie if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean-
they could cut out some. I would say they could cut out some bits, to make it work, because, just a lot of the intermediate stuff they could totally do.
Yeah.
And then but I could also see like they could fuck it up too. They fucked up Index 3. They could fuck up a movie trilogy if they wanted to.
I think I would really like a movie trilogy like that. Honestly, I could see them actually doing an individual movie for, like basically every arc except for, the 2-parters and 3-parters. But that would probably leave some movies to be just a little bit less exciting than the others.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but that's always the thing with sorry, I'm gonna bring up Heaven's Feel because it's honestly a good standard for movie trilogy anime wise. The second movie is like the downer movie where it's just kind of like, you get off the high action of the first movie, and then they got to set up everything for the third movie, the climax, but it's also just a lot of downtime. So like they'd probably end up doing that. But the thing is, the second movie in the Orthodox trilogy would have to be like the climax.
Yeah.
Like that, like the whole. Can I talk about the Orthodox arc, or is he's not there yet?
Yeah,
I
no,
mean-
I finished the arc. Yeah, I finished.
Spoiler alert, guys. We're going to talk about New Testament stuff. So if you haven't read New Testament, then click off this video temporarily and we'll go back to normal stuff later.
Up to NT 12, I think, or NT 10.
Yes, up to 10.
Yeah.
I was just saying, like, the second movie would have to be Toma just going through all of Orthanus's fuckery in the world, like, and when she rewrites the world, like, that would have to be the entirety of the second movie, to be honest. Like, I could see the first movie being the setup for all of that, and then it ends like right as Orthanus gets her staff, and then it literally, like, the second movie would just kick off from there, and it's just Toma suffering. Just the entirety of the second movie is just Toma suffering.
That second movie would be brutal to watch, though.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be great though.
Yeah.
But it'd be brutal. But then,
I'd like to see a movie, like, if they did a movie, it to expand on some more of his deaths.
oh yeah, no,
For sure.
I need more deaths. There are a lot of them. We need more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, any death you can think of, it happened.
Unlimited death works.
It's pretty much what it was. It's like, who suffered the most, and everyone's like, Guts, or like, this person. I'm like, no, Toma, and they're like,
Subaru.
I'm like, nah, they ain't got nothing on Toma.
Yeah.
Billions.
Brag to my ReZero friends that Toma dies more than Subaru. It's a
Don't believe you.
bragging point.
It-
Whose
it-
protagonist has suffered the most?
I know Subaru died. I'm like, how many times? Not at least 100.
At
then-
least Toma's deaths aren't a plot device.
Pretty much. But then I would definitely say, like, the end of the second movie would be them coming out of that world, and then the third movie would be Toma trying to save Orthanus and that whole finale. But
Yeah, I sort of
it ha-
wonder if the first one would work better as like anime, like a standard anime episodes, and then do the duology, since that one's a bit slower.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was my concern.
I mean, they could always just make the Orthanus a movie instead of like an anime, so they could just do Index 4, and then at the end, and then like just get it up to the point where like Orthanus becomes God, and they're like, okay, we're gonna make these 2 movies,
Yeah.
or just
Yeah,
a
I can see
movie.
that.
'Cause, like,
Ultimately, I think the best outcome would be if that arc just got its own 24 to 26 episode season to maximize like screen time. But the movies would just be cool because, you know, they'd have that really good budget.
They would.
Like,
they would. And
the entirety of what is it, New Testament 10 is just Toma suffering. So like, I don't think it would need a lot of episodes for that, but they could definitely do a movie out of it. Because like, there's just like, I don't want to say that there's not enough like narrative progression, if that makes sense, for it to
Yeah.
be more than like 1 or 2 episodes. Just because like most of it is just Toma suffering, so there'd be no really reason to have that be 6 episodes. But I could totally see them doing a movie out of it, just because narratively it'd make more sense.
Yeah.
And then, but that's just my opinion on how the Orthanus arc should be animated. We only got 1 Index movie, so
Yeah, and to be fair, while the plot in that movie wasn't great by any stretch, the animation for it was amazing.
it was
Yeah.
good. I love the fact that they just retconned the space elevator in when Tom was with Index, and he's just and then it just cuts to like, what, you don't know? That's been there the whole time. Remember during this scene and that scene and this incident, and it's just they insert it there, and I'm like, yeah, that, you know, that's how you do it.
Maybe it was part of the imaginary school district, so it's just like invisible, and it's like
Just pop
All
it
according
everywhere.
to Alistair's plan.
all according to Keikaku.
Good.
Anyway, let's move on from like New Testament spoilers to our toilet chat. Spoilers over.
Spoilers are over, guys.
Spoilers over. Yeah, in other news, in terms of music, we have Nanjo, the lead singer of Fripside. She has announced her retirement today, I think. Or, well, not retirement per se, unlike Mami Kawada, who retired, who was the original, singer for the Index openings, then was replaced with Maon Kurosaki. She's leaving Fripside next year, so it'll be interesting to see who replaces her. Because I don't know if Fripside will sing the openings anymore. Well, they might do, but
my heart was broken when I found out an hour ago.
Oh, really? Are you a big fan of Fripside?
I do like Fripside.
They do.
I've heard the complaint that Fripside, everything Fripside makes like sounds the same, which I mean, you could say that about literally any composer or producer, but they're dang talented. And I've even seen like a few like live performances from them as well. And the singer is like just as good sounding live as she is like in the studio. So I think they're super talented.
I don't know, like idols in Japan are like they got talent. It's not there's not a lot of like fakery in it like it is over here. I know some people are gonna take a hurt to that, but like auto tuning is a thing.
Yeah.
Indeed it is.
Well, I think so. Humorous thing I've sort of found about like Japanese idols is you don't necessarily have to be like a very good singer. You just have to have like a very anime-ish voice for a lot of them.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I also see that.
I listened to one song by the what's her name who did the original Index openings.
Mami Kawada.
Yeah. She did like a live concert that I found on YouTube, and she started singing, and it was probably like the worst performance I've ever heard.
Oh
like,
yeah,
it was so bad.
Yeah.
I was sad about that.
I don't know if that's her live, like normal live voice, but yeah, I know which one you mean. Like, like from that alone, like she was not singing well.
Yeah, she went like Yoko Ono on it, so I was like, no.
Well, I watched a few from her like not that long ago. Some of them were pretty bad, not gonna lie, but some of them were pretty decent. And I didn't know she played guitar as well. There's one where she was actually playing guitar while singing. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's harder than it looks. Take it from me. That's so much harder than you think.
Yeah, a lot of live performances will actually be lip singing for some of it, because like whenever you're dancing and stuff, it's harder to carry a proper like tone. So it's not uncommon. It doesn't necessarily mean they're like a bad singer if they're like moving around a bunch or like we're lip singing this one time, but it wasn't a very good performance. My illusions had been shattered.
Although I will tell you who's probably the best at singing. I mean, while I was like a Maon Kurosaki simp, not anymore.
Yeah.
I've gone over that phase.
She's worthy to simp over.
I mean, she is quite the lady, but I think they did the Accelerator ending. It's like Saijo no Hana. And like the lead singer of that, Sana, like they've got like their own YouTube channel, and she does like acoustic like versions of like some like railgun songs and shit. And she can fucking sing. Like she's really fucking good. Yeah. So if you
should link that to me afterwards.
Yeah, Saijo no Hana, like she does like some of the railgun endings, like Real Force and like Sister's Noise. And all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really good. So I'd probably say she's probably the best at live singing, because I mean I don't think there's any filters on that.
I'd have to hear him. Yeah, I'd have to hear him. The Mami Kawada, when I saw that, that disappointed me pretty hard too. I haven't seen much of Maon Kurosaki live. I've seen a little bit, but
yeah, she's good. Like she's got a unique sound to her voice at times. Like I don't know how to describe it because I'm not really into music, like in terms of like playing it and stuff. But like I think she's definitely better than Mami. But I wouldn't say she's like whoa exceptional, like blow you out the water in terms of voice. I think she's probably like a 7 out of 10. If I'm being like non-biased.
One of my favorite Tuaru openings actually is the opening to Virtual On. It's sang by the voice actresses for Index and Makoto.
Rina Sato and Yuka Iguchi.
Yeah.
What's the name of that one?
It's Reality.
Like, get ready. Yeah. Reality.
I'll have to listen to that one. I bought that game, but I don't remember the opening.
Yeah, it's Is it called Get Ready? Wait,
I think it's called Get Ready. Yeah, it's like
yeah,
but-
Get Ready.
But Yuka Iguchi also did Railgun S ending 1. And she also
really?
did.
Wait,
She
is
also
that
did the
Dear
endings
My
for
Friend?
Index 3 as well. The voice actor for Index.
Is the first Railgun ending? Is that Dear My Friend? If you remember the name of it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it is.
Aleister. But the one in the first one in Railgun S
Oh, S,
was
okay.
like on a it's got like the teddy bear shit. That's the
Yeah.
voice actress of Index.
Okay, I might have heard that before. I have to check it out again.
It goes like
I really like all of the openings, honestly.
that one. I don't know.
I consistently like the music in Tuaru a lot. I mean, I would say Index actually just has my favorite openings, probably of any anime, like consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like I feel like it's an underrated soundtrack. To be fair, I feel like there's a lot of tracks that are really good, but I mean, I think some of the ones in like season 1 of Index weren't that great. Like, but there's some that really stand out. To be fair, it's kind of a mixed bag. But yeah, like I really like how I think you mentioned it in one of your videos, like the science side, like bass tracks are like electronic based.
Yeah. So,
Mm.
like, Index is kind of, it's more like electronic rock. It's a little bit okay. Well, yeah, it's more like electronic rock, while Railgun is more trance, which I think fits the aesthetic a lot better. And then you have Accelerator, which only has one opening, but it's like a lot darker. But it's all
Yeah.
consistently like rock and electronic together,
Mm-hmm.
but just like of a different aesthetic according to each series that I think is like pretty consistent and well thought out.
Yeah. My personal favorite, Sea Visions. That's my favorite Index opening.
Fair.
Sea
Mine's
Visions, it has like the coolest intro ever.
The one that's stuck in my head is always I think it's Index 2 opening, the first one where it's like,
No buts.
no, not no buts. I'm always
That's Sea Visions.
That's Sea Visions.
Yeah,
Okay, it is Sea Visions. Okay.
I always just
All right.
remembered as the one where Toma's running.
The classic
Oh,
ending
yeah.
opening.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I'm kind of torn between. I do like Sea Visions. I think the visuals are good, but I'm like torn between like the very first one, like Side Missing, just because I like the there's something about like the tone of like the music that I think really fits Index. Like I can't really describe it that well, but some of the visuals aren't amazing. But I feel like the song and like I feel it's like really fits Index. Well, I also like Raw just because like the visuals are fucking amazing.
It is so. Why are the Roar visuals so good? Someone explain to me.
It's just
That's
like
just where all the budget went.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
they just wanted like okay, this opening is probably going to get shared around a lot. So yeah, the people will watch the series because this opening's a banger, and then once they watch it, they'll be like, "Oh shit, what have I done?"
They didn't have to squeeze an entire novel into the opening.
Well, yeah, it's strange because
Well, technically they do. They have to
yeah.
like tease the entire arc.
Good point.
well, let me talk about Raw because like surprisingly, like Raw is one of like the first videos I made when I like, revived my channel, like talking about my thoughts of the opening, like when it first aired, and like it didn't actually spoil a lot in the arc. Okay, it spoils Accelerator versus Worst, but it doesn't like show Toma versus Fiyama. It doesn't show a lot of crazy stuff that does happen in the arc, and I kind of like that because it kind of keeps it like foreboding. And when they run towards the sunset, that's kind of like the foreshadowing of like the star Gabriel and like the giant Telesma ball. Because I feel like, is that the sun or is that like foreshadowing like the massive Telesma nuke that Fiyama's about to send on Earth to do Noah's Ark 2.0? So I kind of like that, but at the same time, I'd like to see, Toma versus Fiyama and updated visuals about those stupid totem poles that they were standing on. Because that wasn't a thing in the novel, really. They were fighting in a normal arena, or whatever you want to call it. But
Coliseum.
Yeah, Colosseum. Sure, why not? Let's just make it JoJo Part 5.
I mean, speaking of, they could have just pulled a JoJo with the opening and changed it at the end after the scene happens.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
I don't know if anyone's seen JoJo Part 5, but like at the end,
Yeah, I've read
they
the
literally
manga.
change the ending every couple of episodes. They keep adding more to it as the plot progresses.
But I'll tell you what, it kind of reminds me of like, has anyone seen like Berserk 2016 or Berserk 2017?
That's
bits and
CG.
pieces.
Yeah, the
I only-
CGI one.
It's fun.
Yeah, because like if you watch the openings for that, like that's all like 2D animation and it doesn't look too bad. Like the openings don't look too bad; they look pretty swell. But once you watch the actual show, then it's just all those fucking memes that came out about how bad the animation was, the clang and all that. But like I feel like it's kind of a similar situation to Index 3, but not as drastic in terms of change. It's just whatever.
Speaking of index changes, do we want to move on to? Were we going to talk about
Move on to what?
Should we acknowledge that it's Halloween?
Oh yeah, it is Halloween. Yeah. And for Halloween, we actually did some preparation, didn't we? Well, I don't know.
Sorta.
Yeah,
Sure.
because we read one of Kamachi's early novels. I mean, it's
It's his first
Not-
public work, I think.
yeah. I mean, it's not like a full like volume or anything. It's like 2 chapters, but it's like it's called like the Killer Queen series, or like the Satsujinki, I think it's called in Japanese or something like that. But because I started this many years ago when I was curious about Kamachi's works, and then I just like read like a paragraph of it, and I was like, "Nah, I'm all right." Just never went back to it. But I've actually read it all now, and I don't know if you read it, Kyrass, but I think the rest of us have read it.
I skimmed it.
Oh,
I
did you
started
skim
it.
it? Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, like I skimmed bits of it when the dialogue was getting a bit too. I don't know what the word to describe it is, but
Dull.
yeah, like it wasn't much of a horror. It was more, yeah, it's kind of like what I expected. So I didn't know like if it was going to emphasize like the horror element, or if it was going to go for like because obviously I knew it was about killers because it's in the name, and I did read a bit of it before, but it's more of a murder mystery in a way, but more action than I remember it being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It was, and I think a complaint that I think all of us had with the first one was that it was really hard to visualize the fight scenes. I didn't really feel that with the second one though, Killer Device. I thought the fight scenes were a lot like better described, I guess, in that one. And I think I said earlier that it read a lot like a Toma fight in Index, which I think it was written right around the time Index had started, so it kind of makes sense.
yeah. For the first one, you sort of see like this sort of horror-esque build-up, right? You sort of get that horror tone from it, up to the reveal of the girl being the killer. After the first fight scene, it sort of Kamachi ditches all of that, and it sort of turns into like generic battle. I think thinking about the fights between the two, I think the main difference is in the first novel and their short story. In this first short story, this one was before Index came out, so this was like his first published work. The fights, like every blow is sort of gone into detail a lot more than in the second one, where it's much more back and forth. So like the girls fighting with the Killer Queen's fighting with like this sort of rubber whip, right? And he'll like go into detail. He's like, oh, the electricity's going up the bar and she uses the whip, and because of how the whip's rubber works and all this, and he goes off into detail about it. Whereas in the sequel in Killer Device, which came out shortly after Index, so he's had a bit more professional experience at this point, it's much more like blow for blow, like, oh, this attack hits and it's worked like this, but it's like quick sentence and you're off into the next blow. So it's not like you don't feel like you're not going through information overload, you know?
Yeah, that's what it kind of felt like when I was like reading through it a bit. It was just kind of like there was like a before index writing and then after index writing between the two novels.
But yeah, it was a span of 1 year between the two, but you could tell Kamachi like improved a lot in that time.
I mean, considering how fast that man writes.
Yeah. Because I think one of the main issues is like it's a short story, right? Like it's not even as long as like a chapter of index. But you can tell that in the first story, Kamachi sort of had a hard time adding characterization and such in such a short span of time, because he really wanted to like get into the action scenes, it seemed. Though like the best part of Killer Queen is whenever the protagonist, who I forgot his name again, Koichiro.
Yeah.
And the Killer Queen, whose name I also forgot.
Is that a JoJo reference?
Killer Queen.
Oh, yeah, sure. They're having a back and forth where they're taking turns. Like, oh, you've asked a question, that means I can ask a question, and oh, you asked this question within your question, which means you canceled out one of your questions. And it's sort of a fun character moment between the two to read, but other than that, nothing really stuck out. Whereas in the sequel, he sort of, in that short period of time, was able to give them sort of believable backstories and explain more of the world. And the villain actually had a motive that made somewhat sense. But he did like completely sacrifice the horror aspect in the second story.
I feel like maybe he just was like, okay, I can't write horror right now, so we're just gonna move away from that.
Yeah, I think he's well studied in horror writing. I've picked up from the Zombie Little Sister, Vampire Big Sister. Like he knows a lot of monster lore. Yeah. It's not that bad. It's actually not that bad, but
sure.
That's what they all say.
We all know why you like
related,
it,
I promise.
We all know why you like it.
Yeah.
You know, being in the South America, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeehaw.
I'm there.
There's no blood relation, guys.
We're totally not related by blood.
Sweet home Alabama.
No, their backstory is actually fairly interesting, but he knows a lot of like monster lore, like stuff I didn't even know about vampires and like types of vampires and stuff. He'll like bring up, which also part of the reason I read it was because I wanted to see how Kamachi interprets vampires for the sake of if they ever show up in Index.
I'm gonna.
But they did show up in Index. Wink, wink.
I will hold that rant until we're done talking about this.
Oh,
I will hold the floodgate.
Yeah, but contain ourselves for now.
He at least knows, like he seems to be studied on it, so I think he knows like how you write horror, and he sort of touched on it in Angel Fall in the second half that never got animated.
Oh yeah, that crazy dude.
Yeah, because like the art for it was pretty, like he looks scary in the art.
He got like opposite of frog face.
Yeah,
like demonic frog face, and it's bad. It's so bad that it's good.
He got like gecko face.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But like you can sort of pick up like a horror movie, how Kamachi writes it. Like they're in the house alone with a killer, and
I mean, I think there's a fair number of like pretty disturbing parts throughout the series. Like I like to think of Marianne and the Baggage City arc when I think Omi and what is it, Maria, they walk into that room of like flesh furniture and she's in there.
Oh god, yeah.
Oh yeah.
and she like turns that man's hands into a faucet.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I mean, he's good at writing like disturbing things here and there, but I guess he probably doesn't feel much of a need to write an entire story with horror as the main focus.
Yeah. There's times he does like body horror and stuff. Like with
the sisters.
GT or Handcuffs arc. In GT3 with, I won't spoil it, but you know, Kihara's robot girl, right now.
Yeah. And even
Like
at the
with-
end of GT4.
Yeah. There was that, and then there's also like how, if you've read the original Index arc, how he goes into detail regarding Index's injuries in that is a lot more brutal than the anime would ever lead you to believe, because it's like in the anime it's like she's bleeding a lot, and it's like, oh yeah, she must have like a giant gash, and that's like she's just losing blood really fast. But in the novels it's like, oh, you can see like yellow of her fat, and it's all the way down to the bone, like how bad the cut is, and it's really in detail and like gruesome and stuff. Like it makes you uncomfortable. It's like, oh no, the cute anime girl's like she's on her
Not
death.
cute anime girl.
Not the cute anime lolly.
But
How dare
yeah,
you.
so in how he details these things, and even like Sister's arc with the anime, sort of the closest the anime ever really got to how Kamachi writes was whenever Accelerator blew up the sister. But even then it wasn't even like half, like it's much more detailed in the novel.
I mean, yeah. I
Um,
mean, they made it more gorier in the railgun version.
Yeah.
But there was still the one scene in the novel where, like, after he reverses, I don't remember if it was the blood flow or the bioelectricity, because I think those were two different things that he did on two different
Mhm.
sisters.
Yeah.
But he reversed it, and then all of like the orifices and internal body parts came out, and then Kamachi was like, "Oh yeah, that lower part, I'm not gonna say what it was, but like that lower part, yeah, that's on the outside now." And I was just like, "Oh god, I did not need that mental image."
And
It's
then
like showing their
Accelerator's
fingers like
dinner
gum.
is served.
But yeah, so Kamachi, like, he's definitely got the ability to write gruesome stuff and like that makes you uncomfortable. Like if you were to write a slasher scene, I think it would be very good. But we just haven't really seen since Killer Queen, like him trying to write an atmospheric horror, which hopefully I'd like to see him try and do someday.
Yeah, because he does like to experiment with different ideas. I mean, it's kind of crazy, like how many different themes in like Kamachi can actually fit an index depending on what volume it is. Because like you do get volumes with quite different tones from each other. You get like Battle Royale or like Baggage City that are quite different from the other arcs, or like the Office arc. Or it's quite a wide range of themes. Sometimes you have a bit more, romance. Sometimes you don't have that. Sometimes you have action. You have like thriller. You have mystery. Like this, I feel like there's almost like something in Index for everyone. But at the same time, I wouldn't recommend like the average Joe to get into Index just because like there is some stuff that might weird you out or confuse you.
Yeah.
Or it's just quite daunting to also get into the series length. So it's well, it does feel like a series that like the universe is so vast that almost any theme could potentially fit in a different aspect of the universe. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think the way it is for Kamachi, Index is sort of like where he puts all of his writing attributes into, He'll like explore every genre he can. But if you want, like, if you find you really like, oh, I really liked how Kamachi wrote mystery or romance, there's usually another Kamachi book that's more specifically focused on that. And I wish a lot of Index fans only read Index novels, and I think you're missing out on a lot if you're not reading a lot of Kamachi's other stuff, because it's sort of, you can sort of interpret things that are left ambiguous in Index. If you read his other stuff, you can sort of interpret what Kamachi's actually trying to like go with. Heavy Object focuses a lot more on like the political and like sciences of the world, which sort of, you can sort of see how Kamachi's planning on going in certain directions with like the political aspects of Index. If you read, I can never remember the village.
Tsushiki Wawashi.
Yeah.
Oh god.
If you read that one, you sort of see how Kamachi likes to actually go more into a sort of tragic romance.
And batshit crazy.
Yeah. And if you just want like off the walls Kamachi, like Kamachi insane, like there's no way a human could actually come up with this idea
That's the
A
cheeky
Simple
Roshi.
series is a really good.
Oh yeah, that one. I've not read a Simple series though, but I've delved in what it's all about in terms of different like
It's very
stories. Is it?
abstract.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't describe it really.
It's if you like the sort of abstract writing of Kamachi, then A Simple series is a very good read.
And if you like the god type character being a yandere, then you'll like Blood Sign.
Oh yeah, for sure. Blood Sign's really good though. Also, Apocalypse Witch is also very good.
I don't know anything about Apocalypse Witch.
Apocalypse Witch. It's really hard to explain. It's a revenge story, right? But whereas normally in the revenge stories you have he was originally a good-willed protagonist until his friends betrayed him and murdered everyone he loved, and then he came back and killed everybody and was like raping and purging, and
So
it's like
relatable.
Let's redo a healer.
Well, you know, it's just supposed to be like normally in revenge stories, it's write really unlikable characters and then write a character who just kills all of them. So you can enjoy that sort of immoral revenge without having to question your own morality. Whereas in Kamachi's story, he take the kind of protagonist who's normally like, I'm scared of everything. I'm so nervous. Like normally you're like, you know, the kind of protagonist most people hate, right? They question everything they do, and they're like, am I doing the right thing? But I think it works in the context of a revenge story much better because it's a morally gray thing. Like these people deserve what they're getting, but do they deserve like vigilante justice? And is there like a greater moral reason for all of it? And the protagonist sort of acts that out. It's hard to explain, but it's a very interesting and
just
good
watch
read.
Redo of a Healer. You'll understand.
Redo of a healer, but
you're just confusing the isekai garbage.
Yeah, Redo of the healer, but the protagonist actually has like a moral code and questions. You know,
there's a moral compass that isn't a roulette wheel.
Yeah, because like his friends in Apocalypse Witch sort of lost their moral compass. They act closer to how you would expect like the revenge story protagonist to go, whereas he acts as like the moral backbone, which actually makes it, I find it more interesting than the general revenge story.
Are you doubting the moral complexity of Redo of Healer?
No, I agree with everything the protagonist of Healer ever did.
Oh, arrest this man.
Never did anything wrong.
Just like how Griffith never did anything wrong, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh god. We're gonna get cancelled this rate.
Yeah, it's gonna get pitchforks and torches.
They may come, but they will never destroy me. Okay. Yeah, let's move on from that.
Yeah.
It's probably a wise decision before we sink into the deeper hole. Yeah. Shall we? I mean, like, we were talking about Kamachi series, and like Heavy Object is ending or has ended, I guess, because the last volume came out. Do we see like Kamachi writing another series, or do we just see him like focusing on Index and Apocalypse Witch now? Are those like his only 2 ongoing series at the moment? Because that's kind of crazy to imagine. Because I remember a time where Kamachi was like writing like 5 or more series at once. Like, I swear. Yeah,
he's still got like active web novels, but they aren't regularly released like Indexes or Heavy Object, because I think he just writes those in his free time.
These are my side projects.
Yeah, they're sort of like passion projects, usually is how I sort of see them. But other than that, Apocalypse Witch, GT, and whatever manga projects are currently going on, I think are all that's left. There's also technically, because I have no idea what's going on with them, but there's that Kunoichi Cuties, whatever it was called. The hacker, whatever the hacker one was called. It was called Sorcery Hacker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that one in Sorcery Hacker, I have no idea what's up with those, because the company that was publishing them, because the Line, I think, was starting to publish books, and they, like, only a few months after they started the project, like, it was just a bomb, and so they canceled everything. So I have no idea how, like, what happens to the rights of those, because I didn't really like either of them. It felt more like Kamachi was writing because he was contractually obligated to write 2 books for them. But after, I don't think there was any closure for either series. So I don't know if he'll ever bring that back. But I think the last book for both of them was in 2020.
It kind of baffles me in the way that, because I did make a video on Kamachi, and I do think the perfect way to describe him is mad genius, and that's why I made that video. You know, and I mean it in an endearing way, but at the same time, like, he just comes up with like some crazy ass ideas, and a lot of the time they do work. But in like his other series, I don't know what goes through his head sometimes. In a way, it's like Konoichi Cuties and like fucking vampire older and zombie younger sister. Like, what? Like, how like drugged up do you have to be to come up with that shit? Like,
For real.
He does a line before he starts writing down ideas, and then he just gets out a roulette wheel and is like, let's see what title we have for this series today.
Legit though. Yeah. What do you think of Kamachi's ideas, Emerald? I mean, you've kind of experienced like Kamachi, like his words directly for like the first time in a way, because you were actually reading the novels instead of an adaptation. So
yeah, well, when I saw your video calling him a mad genius, I instantly agreed. I love that video. I had to stop watching when you started talking about like some of the spoiler stuff that happens later. But I wholeheartedly agree. I call him like a risk taker, because some of the things that he does are just like very absurd. And I don't know. It's like his mind to me just functions differently than so many other authors that I see, and like based off of so many other like light novel adapted anime that I see, Index just stands out for being something so much crazier. From just the fact that the series even has like 2 like different power systems, and the fact that it's just this like very grandiose series where like every major country in the world is involved, and it's something like very larger than life. And then he introduces like these just absurd sorts of characters, like these magic gods. Like I read the end of New Testament 10, and you were we were talking about how he just introduced all these like different like magic goddess characters in this distorted phase. And to think that this series is supposed to be like what, over 100 volumes by the end of it all, it's pretty crazy that if that actually is true, only a third of the way through, this man is writing characters that can just like casually recreate the universe. Like something as broken and overpowered as that.
Remember,
but
Junior,
outside of that, he just has like an absurd amount of really strange ideas that I would just never even think of. So yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. The man is a mad genius, on top of the fact that he writes for so many different series at the same time.
Things aren't going your way, Junior. Just reset the universe.
Yeah.
There was meant to be a spoiler warning in there, but it's okay.
But
It's fine.
well, the crazy thing is, like, in terms of all of his writings, I don't even think Index has the most powerful characters Kamachi's written.
I don't know actually, because I mean, I was in like the what do you mean, like the versus battles community?
I don't like power scaling or anything, but in terms of like the greatest, in terms of just like in Kamachi's writing, like he hinted in the crossover story in one of his crossovers.
That White Queen's the
White
most
Queen
strongest.
was,
Yeah.
at the time, and then he was writing the Magic God arc at that time, or all the Magic God stuff. So, but
yeah.
And there's other things like in a simple series, there's like two characters who become like the embodiment of good luck, and they're both like fighting each other, and it's like the coolest fight because like they'll have guns and they'll be pointing it at each other, but the guns will always jam, but the other person will always like trip and hit them in the right spot, but the other person will also happen to trip because they're like their luck is constantly like moving their bodies for them. It's like he writes so abstractly for some of his stuff that it's like the way I always seen Index is like it's sort of pointless to power scale because Kamachi likes the more rock paper scissors dynamic, I think.
I can see that.
But if we're gonna talk like pure, like canonically the most powerful character, I wouldn't be shocked if I'm not a power scaler, so I'm not going to like argue it absolutely is, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are characters you can prove are much stronger than any of the Index characters.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've kind of grown out of like power scaling and versus battles and all that, since that was like most time I was wasting a lot of amino and stuff. Well, yeah, I mean, I see some users do it now and try and like get me into like doing it, and it's not like the type of content I really want to make. Like, will Accelerator defeat One Punch Man? It's like,
That's the unstoppable
will Accelerator defeat Goku?
Yes. I mean,
those are actual videos that I saw like recommended to me like not that long ago.
If I was to make those videos, it would just be like, okay, give me views, please. But then it's just like it turns into salt in the comment section because all the Dragon Ball viewers are watching it and be like, no, he does not lose to Accelerator.
Goku wins. It's just like Noah wins. The planet explodes.
Yeah, so
That's how you end it.
I saw once on a forum they were arguing if Accelerator versus Superman, and somebody was like, "Oh, Superman could just punch through his vectors," and
not how that works.
That's not how vectors work. But okay,
I think people just want their favorite character from their favorite series to be the strongest, so they get overly passionate, and that's how they. That's the basis that they argue on.
But there's a point.
It's just a jerking off contest, really. And it's kind of even if you're like in a specific like series, like it's just like, okay, this is a character I like more than this other character, so I think he's stronger a lot of time. But it's like
And there's too much conflicting information too. Like there's always like you'll have this character and it's like, oh, he's super fast. Like they'll find this peak speed is faster than light, but then there's like a random moment where somebody like dodges his punch and it's like, oh, this character who clearly isn't faster than light dodged his punch and he moves faster than light, which means this character is faster than light plus. And it's like,
is Toma light speed? Toma can travel faster than the speed of light. Is that true?
Toma blocked a railgun. That means he's faster than speed of sound.
But no, like Emerald, you won't know this because you haven't read like the Old Testament novels, but this isn't a spoiler or anything. This is just like, background information. But yeah, this is just like how Mikoto's lightning or electricity is described. Like it's described that she can like shoot her lightning spears out at light speed, but that doesn't make any sense because her max voltage output is like 1 billion, and like if you calculate how much that it actually is, like in terms of speed, that's actually like massively hypersonic, and that's like way less than the light speed. So it doesn't actually make any sense. And that's not even her using her full voltage potentially. So
there's a difference between like voltage and amps, I think, and I think he mentions that. And like one of the it's why do I suddenly remember this? The third novel where she electrocutes Toma on the bridge, and in the novel he's just like, so there's a difference between amps and voltage. So she sent him like 1 billion amps of electricity, but like very low voltage, so it didn't actually kill him.
I remember that because he was comparing it to he compared it to a child putting a fork in an electric socket, in that like even though it's very low voltage, like the ampage is enough to actually kill the child versus her using high voltage but low ampage. Which is an interesting thing because it's like it explains why Toma didn't die on the bridge, but you lose that context in the anime.
It's
So it
like,
just seems sort of like, oh, he was just lucky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, shows Makoto's holding back still, even though she was using a
Yeah.
crazy amount of voltage. But at the same time, you know, in the railgun manga and anime, she's using like an iron sand chainsaw, and if Toma like Toma is literally walking backwards, and you know how hard it is. Like if you walk backwards and you're trying to avoid something potentially, like how easy it would be to slip over like a rock or something behind you.
Uh-huh.
And if he slipped, like that could have potentially fucking sliced him in half. Like, so I just don't get Makoto in those types of scenes. Like Holt, like, come on, you don't want to murder this man.
Though I mean that's part of her character too, is like because
Yeah,
she doesn't
okay.
understand his power, she
Yeah.
interprets it as okay, he is like my equal, but I have to beat him to prove he's not. But she never really like thinks he'll get hurt by an attack. Which is funny because I don't know, I think I rambled about it on the podcast before, but one of the things I didn't like about Railgun season 1 is they removed a lot of Makoto's internal conflicts compared to the manga, whereas like in the manga she was much more abusive of her power, and it's shown through her like interactions with Toma, and they sort of removed because they altered the timeline. They removed a bunch of like the fights on the bridge and stuff, or whenever Makoto gets freaked out that Toma could like potentially, what if he could lock my power away forever? And it's supposed to be a very like before she fights the AIM burst monster, because it sort of reflects her own views on Esper abilities versus like the common folk. She's very much willing to abuse it, right? Like in the manga, in the first part of the manga, she like uses her railgun on the car, not because the guy hurt her friend, but because he spilled her food on her shirt. So she pulls out like this deadly weapon, and it's just like it's supposed to like be Makoto will abuse her powers very easily, and this is all reflected in how she acts in her interactions with Toma, because she abuses her powers even further there, and looks down on the fact that he's a level 0 and stuff. But since they remove a lot of that in the anime, she's more Mary Sue-ish in the first season, removing that character conflict.
Railgun season 1 kind of feels like really weird to me in terms of, I don't know, it feels like they changed quite a lot, and it feels kind of alien in a way.
Yeah, it introduced Congo, and she like it completely messes up her character arc in the third season.
Yeah,
her introduction in the manga was way more interesting than the anime, and I actually really liked season 1 of Railgun. I liked it, even though, I mean, I went into the series thinking that Railgun like inherently was a slice of life, which it wasn't. But I mean, I do really like slice of life anime, and seeing Railgun be like slice of life, but still have this really interesting and intricate like setting and all that is kind of what I thought made it stand out. But as I got further into the series, I can see, yeah, this is this is a very weird adaptation for this series.
Yeah. A lot of people say, like, there's a lot of like Railgun fans who say, oh, don't watch Index or whatever because Railgun's just better. But I think half the joy in like what makes Railgun good is like whenever you find these aspects that like, oh, this actually makes sense within the greater lore, like the AIM burst monster, beast baby thing, whatever. Yeah, it's like, oh, if you know what Kazakiri is, suddenly that thing makes so much sense in the universe. It's like, oh, it's foreshadowing like AIM beings like Kazakiri. And it's just there's all kinds of stuff like that. And you would never get that like satisfaction if you didn't also take part in being an Index enjoyer.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And I've always thought that Tuaru was greater than the sum of its parts. That if you're only invested in one particular series, whether it be Index or Railgun, you're really like missing out on the full experience that makes it so special, makes it so different from every other series in the medium. So yeah, fully agree on that.
Yeah, it actually it goes back to the politics part. Is like we get to see how character relations and how the world changes, like how it affects all these different side stories. Because you'll rarely find in an Index side story where things are just happening on its own, isolated. Like there's always something from one series or another that you can see led into this story arc, like the Accelerator manga, as cursed as it is.
Oh no.
There's at least still like moments of like build. Well, not okay. I'm gonna take back on the Accelerator one. I think that one's bad. But the Astral Buddy is the one I should have said.
Yeah.
You get to see, or Dark Matter especially.
Hell yeah.
Because you get to see the Dark May project, like how that affected characters and how Kakane sort of developed before Battle Royale, and just sort of things that you wouldn't understand, like how deep it goes unless you've read Index or some of the other source material.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to touch upon, like you were mentioning about Railgun being this like slice of life thing. Like, I feel like that's what got like a lot of some of the casual anime like fans into Railgun to begin with, because it kind of like thrived off like this moe genre, but at the same time had this like supernatural element to it. And it just kind of feels weird because like it's this pretty different. Okay, you still get some like fight scenes here and there, and you get fucking what was he called, like Kurozuma from Big Spider in the filler arc, who's the best filler arc character of all time, by the way. Just him like smacking like a bunch of like skill art members, just like dodging bullets and shit. Like that's fucking hype as hell. Like he needs to be in the canon, like legit. but for the most part, it's just it just feels like completely like it doesn't feel like it's part of the actual like Railgun Index timeline in a way, which is kind of weird. Like, I mean, feels like it's kind of its own beast. Right? It kind of feels like its own beast because it's changed that much. That's what I mean.
Yeah, a lot of the filler arcs are like they don't actually fit in the time. Like the Railgun anime really messes with the anime timeline, and in some regards, whenever they like reveal that some side like filler arcs are canon, it's like that doesn't make sense because there's no way it would fit in the timeline of the light novels and mangas. But I think if you're talking solely from the manga, like Railgun manga, it's not nearly as bad. Like it's much better paced in terms of like slice of life after the first couple chapters. Because I think first couple chapters are just setting up, this is average life of Makoto and her friends. So you have sort of an idea of how big the problems they face are. But in terms of the anime, it's a much more jarring like switch up.
I'm just a bit conscious for time, so I think do you guys want to talk about the V word? All right, okay, so this will be the plan. We'll talk about the V word, then we'll talk about, I know the Genesis Testament 5 cover came out. I mean, we can briefly talk about the how Twitter has reacted to it, I guess, but I don't want to talk too in depth about it because I want to save that for a video, and then we can do a Q&A if that sounds good to you guys.
Yeah.
Sweet. So guys, if you're watching, if you have any questions, I know I've been keeping an eye on the chat, and I know some people have asked some stuff previously, which I haven't obviously mentioned. So I'll probably go to those. But if you have any questions, then line them up now, and we will get to them after we talk about these last two things. So vampires. So this is Halloween. So, vampires are a thing that's associated with Halloween, like other monsters and stuff. But yeah, vampires are interesting because we have the Deep Blood arc in Old Testament 2, and they are referenced occasionally after that, up until like the Daihasei arc, which is still really early in Index, and then they're never mentioned again. I know Malcolm Kyrass have read Old Testament, but Emerald, as an anime only, what was all your thoughts about vampires?
It's probably like you'd expect. So I criticized the Deep Blood arc a good bit because I thought it was like oddly misrepresentative of the series as a whole. And I remember as I was watching Index for the first time, I really liked the first arc. And then when it started the second arc, Styles shows up and basically says we're going vampire hunting. I was like, oh, is that the type of show this is? Which it didn't end up being what I originally thought. So, I mean, it still had cool moments. I mean, it's kind of cool, but it's also kind of not that cool. I don't really have much to say about it, really. I'm not a huge fan of the arc, but from the anime, I heard the light novel was way different.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair assessment if you only have seen the anime, but in the novels, it does actually fit in quite well as a sequel to the first volume, in a way. In that, volume 2 actually fleshes out Toma really well. Does anyone want to expand upon that?
It's sort of like his identity crisis. It's reflected in both the novel and even the villain or sub boss of the novel. Really goes to bent to sort of mimic Toma's identity crisis, because you have this. I don't really want to spoil it, but it's also OT.
You can go for it. If it's Old Testament, I don't really mind the spoilers.
So in the Deep Blood arc, you start off and it's Toma. You sort of see how Toma's trying to hide the fact that he's an amnesiac, trying to. You see how before he was hanging out with Ogami and Tsuchimikado, and he's trying to be oh no, this is how he's thinking, and this is I just in case they know this, I need to just pretend this, and he's constantly thinking about that. And then you get to one of the villains, which is this gold clone of Izard, who thinks it's also the real Izard, but it has this sort of mental breakdown whenever it realizes that it's not the real Izard. That's supposed to sort of show how current Toma sort of sees itself as not the real Toma, but it's being forced into believing it is. It's really complex in how Kamachi sort of presents it. It's melded very well into the story, especially for something that he didn't have a lot of time to actually put together and write.
Yeah, I heard he wrote it in 17 days or something.
Yeah, 16 or 17.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard good things about the light novel. I think someone in my comments told me I should really go read that volume. So
yeah,
I'm sure it's really good, but I've only seen the anime.
Of the two, of everything from seasons 1 and 2, I think if you're gonna talk season 3, you need to read the light novels for every part of season 3 over the anime, because otherwise it's just you're gonna be lost. But in terms of Old Testament, I'd say the only 2 novels that are so majorly different that it's better you read them rather than watch them is GT2 with Deep Blood arc and GT4 with Angel Fall.
I think you mean OT.
Or OT. I meant OT on both. Don't skip ahead, guys. But those are really the only 2 you can't. The anime's altered so much that if anything ever did come up in the future that required some of that knowledge, the anime wouldn't be enough to like go off of. And it's just like it's like half the books got cut out for the anime.
Mm-hmm.
In that
Yeah,
case.
2 and 4 got stuff cut out.
Yeah, so those are the only two where I'd say instead of like watching them, you sort of have to read them to get the full scope, especially for Toma's character development. Especially for Toma's character development in for his past. Like, you know, a lot of people throw out like Toma's generic anime protagonist. But that's mostly the fault of season 1. Like, I think the first arc did a good job of like presenting his internal thoughts. I know a lot of people say that, oh, the other season should, or other episodes should have like put more of emphasis on Toma's thoughts, but usually it's not considered good writing if you have to like directly have the protagonist tell you everything they're thinking in an anime setting, because the basic rules show don't tell, right? But they like cut out the parts that do show Toma's development, like the Golden Izard and Toma's interactions with his friends, and most importantly, like his dad talking about his past.
Yeah, I watched Aeon's video on what the backstory that was cut from OT4, and I was like kind of mind blown. It's like they really took the main character's backstory and they didn't feel like it was important enough to put in the anime. It's pretty crazy.
So that's why I'm a bit more critical on the Index director, because he sort of has say in what gets cut and what doesn't. And like I can sort of understand like the situation with 3, but for those arcs, it's sort of like it doesn't seem like he wisely selects what needs to cut and what needs to go. And part of that's because he thought Index would only be 1 season, which I think is a very bad reason for a director to go about cutting content.
For sure.
Definitely.
Has it been the same director throughout every season?
Yes, except for Railgun.
Unfortunately for Index,
and Accelerator. Those have different directors.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, the director for Index, the only work he's actually done that's been well received, like universally, was Azamenga Daio, which is like pure slice of life. So it's sort of like his strong point, especially considering he works at JC Staff, is slice of life. Like that's the company's strong point, and that's like clearly his strong point.
Definitely.
Railgun. And I think you see some of that in Index 2 during the before the Academy City invasion, whenever it's just like pure slice of life. In some parts during Daihase, like it feels very naturally and well directed. Like you like seeing all these characters sort of interact naturally in a normal environment. But then you get to the action, and other than like some standout scenes, usually it's standard anime fare.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I am really excited to go back and actually read Old Testament. I've been told too many times. I know it's probably not ideal to read New Testament before Old Testament, right? I assume the anime knowledge is just simply not enough for stuff like Toma as a character. But I mean, by the end of it all, I'll still get the full experience, whether it's ideal or not.
Yeah, I mean, what's important is you're checking them out to begin with, because not a lot of people even get that far. They're just like, nah, reading even without pictures. How can you read without pictures?
You started with Index 3, didn't you? Or is that what got you into the novels?
Well, I did read some of the Index 3 material because I had heard that the adaptation was just not very good.
Mm-hmm.
It was partially because I just loved the series regardless of the poor adaptation, and I was just really curious about what happens later. And I figure this series may not get another anime for, I don't know, like it could be a decade. Like who knows when it's going to get an anime. And even if it does get an anime, there's no guaranteeing that it's going to be amazing. So I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to read New Testament 1 and see where it goes from there. And that's pretty much how I got into it.
Okay. So you started with season 1?
Yeah, I just went the normal like watch where like Index 1, Railgun 1, Index 2, Railgun S, like that. And then I read OT 14 through 18, and I really enjoyed reading it, but at the same time I wasn't super motivated to keep reading material that I'd already seen. And so I really just wanted to get to New Testament because I was, you know, super excited about like this absurd amount of content that I have not consumed whatsoever. But as I've been reading New Testament, it has made me more excited to actually go back and read Old Testament, because the way it's described is just, it seems very different from, you know, the experience you would get from the anime.
Yeah, there are some benefits to starting it or reading it like that, because when you go back, you start to see Kamachi foreshadow a lot of things that you didn't even realize when you first read through OT.
I can imagine. I was surprised when someone had told me that like magic gods were mentioned in the very first volume.
Yeah.
And there I'm 100% sure there's no mention of magic gods in like the first season, right? Unless I'm tripping.
No, they're not really mentioned in the anime, but they are in the novel.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of stuff like that.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of lore that is missing from the anime, which I do plan on making videos about. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, let's just move on to briefly discuss the Genesis Testament 5 cover without spoiling anything. Yeah, Twitter had an interesting response to this. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I know you've seen it, Malcolm. But yeah, it's going to be like an Alice in Wonderland centered volume, and like I think a lot of people are intrigued by it. Like I'm definitely intrigued by it, and it's like okay, I've been working on my battle royale video, but I'm kind of like thinking I really want to make a video about a GT5 because I'm really excited for this volume, even though it's like the volume cover is quite abstract in a way. It's like it's not what you would expect. What do you guys think?
So what I've seen so far on it, I've seen some people making or finding references, I guess. So if you look on the cover, you have Alice, who's introduced at the end of GT4. Then around her, you have, most notably, you've seen she's holding a white rabbit with red eyes, which people are assuming is representative of Accelerator. Then you have a hedgehogs, and one behind her that looks angry, which people are assuming represents Toma. And then there's a bunch of playing cards like tossed around, right?
Yeah.
And of all of the cards on the cover, only 4 you can see from the you can see the faces of, and one is the ace, and the other is a queen. And then the 2 other cards I decided to take note of, but I don't think they really represent anything. They're not as clearly represented on the cover as those other 2 cards, but it's a 7 of hearts and a 3 of hearts. I don't think they really represent anything. I think it's just so it looks a bit more natural, more cards facing a bit towards the camera. But there's also like a flamingo and something else. I can't remember. Pumpkins. Who knows what those mean? I have no idea.
I mean, the flamingo is definitely a reference to the croquet game that Alice plays in Wonderland against like the queen, like the Queen of Hearts soldiers, right?
Right. I just don't know like what it would be representative of in the novel itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then she has animal ears.
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm curious why she has them. Well, I don't know. Maybe
I don't know
maybe
what
Kamachi's a
animal
theory.
they are, because they have the sort of like cotton ball around the edges, so they're not like cat ears. They're more like bear ears,
Yeah.
maybe.
That's weird. Maybe Kamachi's in his fairy face. We never know.
Maybe. But so far, I said on Twitter, it seems like Japan is like legally required to pay homage to Alice in Wonderland and all of its works in some way. No idea why. I mean, I guess I really don't understand why Alice in Wonderland specifically is so popular in Japan. Like, maybe it's just because she's a lolly. But yeah, there's not a lot to really go off on it other than these characters seem to be represented. Unless there's something to the jack-o'-lanterns that I just can't figure out, because the series just finished Christmas, so it's well far away from Halloween.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, although I do like plan on making a video about it. Yeah, I think I got a lot to say about it. So my predictions and stuff. I think it'll be a fun video.
Cool.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it? I know Emerald, you're not caught up, but
well,
neither of you caught up. But
cover. I don't have much to say other than I thought it looked cute.
fair enough.
Can't wait to get there in several months.
It's a very cute Alice interpretation.
It is.
Very it's very one-to-one almost to like not in terms of art style, but in terms of description to novel Alice.
Yeah, true. Shall we commence the Q&A?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's go. Okay, so first question or questions was from Sup Love. Thoughts on the direction Index is taking and how it could eventually end. Can you see how Toma and Hamazuru's character conclusion would be like? I feel like this is quite a question which you could talk a lot about.
Very loaded.
Could have a
it is a loaded
podcast
question.
episode on it.
Does anyone want to go for this?
Well, I even though I'm not caught up, I guess I will, because I had a comment from someone that was talking to me about how they picture the end of the series looking. And I had made the prediction in my Oathness video that Index would become a magic god by the end of the series, because they kept mentioning that she has the power to with the grimoires and whatnot. And so I had mentioned that, and then I got a comment saying that he thought that the series would end with Index becoming a magic god, something like crazy happening with Last Order, and then Takitsubo becoming a level 5, which it kind of made a lot of sense to think of it that way, because those are like the 3 characters that are the closest to the main protagonist, and I kind of liked that line of thought. If you're just talking about like what you think the very end of the series might look like, something like that.
I think the natural conclusion for these kinds of series is probably a world that no longer has these special abilities, no more magic or espers or anything like that. I won't go into why I think both would disappear, but there's like an intertwining reason for them both existing. And I feel like it wouldn't be a surprise if Kamachi decides to get rid of that reason for them existing, and sort of doing, because like, Toma represents neutrality in the world, right? Like he represents, the pure world, sort of. Going back to like a proper norm, right? There's no superpowers or anything. It's just the world as it was meant to be. So if we take Imagine Breaker as being sort of like the ultimate outcome of the series, that's sort of how I imagine it ending.
I really like that idea. I could totally see that happening.
Yeah.
No idea for Hamazura though.
Yeah, same.
God knows. God knows what that boy.
His character could go anywhere. I mean, he's probably going to settle down somewhere with Kitsubo, maybe. But I feel like that'd be too cliche. Let's see something a bit of spice added in there. But yeah, what do you think, Kyrass?
For those two, I could. For Hamazura, definitely those two would just settle down. Probably with Meltdowner as their fucking neighbor or some shit as a sitcom.
Yes.
My neighbor is a Meltdowner. For Toma, honestly, that Toma's a lot harder to figure out because he literally just wants to be a normal guy. He doesn't. I mean, he has a little harem, but his ending could be based on who the person you're asking wants him to end up with.
It'll be Index.
God. No, Index is just
it's gonna Index.
Be Index is just the freeloader. Let's be honest.
The Makoto fan Salt will be
just like every wife.
No matter who he ends up with, Index will be there. She's the stray cat he can't get rid of.
Let's face it, if he does end up with a character of an Index, and Index is still living with them, Index is just going to bite Toma forever.
Right.
Eternally.
Rest in peace.
She's just going to ruin that relationship until, like, either Toma throws her out or something. Gets ordered to see a psychiatrist, maybe.
My life. It's crazy, man.
Final spin-off, Toma's therapy sessions.
Honestly, the one volume of just
life.
The everyday life of Toma Kamijo. That's a spin-off series I'd like to see.
That was a series.
That's the everyday life.
Yeah, Nichijou-san.
Yeah.
But yeah, where do I like? I don't know what the conclusion of Toma and Mazura will be.
Everyone becomes idols.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well,
the good ending.
Like, I really like the direction it's taking. Like, as long as I won't spoil who the main villain is at the moment, but as long as they fulfill their potential, because we're kind of like biding our time with that to make sure. But I like how the world's progressing, and I feel like I'm really excited for what's in store because I feel like there's a lot of ideas that could turn out really well. So I'm just hoping Kamachi delivers on it since it's still early days. And I think people are perhaps expecting too much too soon from Genesis Testament with like the main villain and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Just give it time, I reckon. Like we gave Aleister and Laura Stewart this amount of time, so we should do the same with the current villain. But how will it eventually end? Like, yeah, I want to see the pure world like Malcolm does, and I won't say what that is. And then I kind of want, pure world would be hype, but then I kind of want either that to be destroyed or there to be some kind of realization and everything being settled between two particular characters I won't mention, and maybe add like a major death in there just to like settle the
Ogami
mood.
dies.
Oh yeah, that'd be that. All the bros will mourn Ogami for eternity. But yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. Let's see. Is there any more in? Is there any more in the chat? We got a couple on Twitter anyway. Okay, yeah, there's no more in the YouTube. Let's go to Twitter. Okay, we have a question from Owaki on Twitter. Toaru related. Well, that's good, because it'd be weird if it wasn't. Opinion on everyone immediately accepting the sisters. Spoiler!
I think I could... Yeah, I think I could imagine like the standard normal person seeing all these clones of like a young girl that seem to be perfectly sentient. I think the general public would probably not have this sort of like big moral argument about it in their minds, you know?
Yeah.
I think it'd just be seen like, oh, they're like twins. There's nothing there's a lot of twins, but I don't think like the general public would actually have that hard of a time accepting the sisters themselves. I think it's more of a moral argument over making them in the first place. But
Yeah.
I think in GT4 we sort of get Kamachi, at least how Kamachi thinks the Americans would interpret it.
Mm.
Military.
Anyone else have a go at that? Or
Was it how the real world would think about the sisters?
yeah, basically.
I mean, yeah, it'd be kind of weird. I mean, I'd probably just be like, okay, whatever. But we have a lot of what are the words? Boomers.
Mhm.
They'd be like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, I don't know. I really just can't imagine anybody having that hard of a time, like looking at them interact with the world. It's sort of, I don't know. It's just visually, like when I try to imagine like how it would play out in the real world, I can't imagine people other than like if the Westboro Baptist Church suddenly showed up in this universe with their Westboro magic. I can't really imagine anybody like having a moral quandary about it.
Yeah, what if they are actually magicians though?
Bruh, we're gonna get some Bible Belt magicians.
Mate, what if them and Chris Chan are magicians? What if Chris Chan is actually a reincarnation of Alistair?
Oh gosh.
God,
I'll lock up your moms quick.
lock them up, hide them.
Does anyone want to move on?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. We got two kind of similar questions, both asking about Imaginary Fest. If like, I don't know if you guys play it, but I do, or you might follow it at least. So
I kind of follow it. I had to stop playing because my like BlueStacks thing just like suddenly stopped working.
Mhm.
I would open up the game and it would just crash.
oh
But,
right.
I still keep up with
Yes.
like who's being added to it.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So yeah, both are about kind of collabs. So I'll just like, yeah, what collab or event would you like to see in Imaginary Fest, or like, yeah, what collaboration would you like to see in another comment? So yeah, that's by Daily Terma and Hydra, and also, yeah, we'll take it one question at a time.
That's an easy answer. I want Tuaru X Hololive, and I want Gargura to be an Imaginary Fest. I will
Makes
I will
sense.
re-download the game immediately if Gargura
I
is
think
in it.
Kiara from HoloLive English is a Tuaru fan. At least I saw in her.
Yeah. I
review.
remember that because she said she liked Kuriko.
Yeah.
That's when she became
damn.
my favorite.
Personal. Are you done?
Yeah.
Do you have for me personally, I think it'd be interesting to see a series that's already crossed over with Index, which means the only plausible one is going to be My Little Sister Can't Be This Cute. It's about time we got the best characters in fiction. Probably da-da-da-da.
Yeah, I mean that's crossover index in
yeah.
the novel. Yeah.
That one I think would make a cool. I don't think da-da-da-da did one yet, did they?
No, they haven't.
I think that one would be cool. It would be funny. It'd be a funny troll if they did the My Little Sister Can't Be This Cute.
Oh my god, that's the moment where I consider like deleting the game for real.
Those are really. Anything else? I'm not really gonna be like obsesses over. Maybe no, they did Shakugan no Shana, did they?
Did they?
Did they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, okay. I would have suggested that.
Yeah, that's the only other one I could think of. So
I don't play the game, but I would say the Monogatari series.
Oh, that'd be
that would be
sick.
cool. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, if that VTuber wants to hit me up for instant success,
Yeah.
as you know, collaborating with VTubers is the way to go nowadays.
Yeah.
They really do be.
For your instant success, not hers.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. But besides that, But besides that, like obviously I have like other series like really love other than Index, but like they wouldn't get a collab in a billion years with Index, Imaginary Fest. I mean, I'd like to see. I mean, we're getting a new Gungrave game. Like, I'd like to have a Gungrave, but I don't feel like it wouldn't fit in with Imaginary Fest at all because they're kind of like completely different like styles in terms of like.
Yeah.
It's obviously not a light novel. The art style is quite drastic. And like JoJo, but I feel like JoJo's popular enough, but at the same time, it's like again very contrasting art style.
Kamachi's got 1 billion books. They need to cross over with some of those. Where's Heavy Object?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind that. That'd be kind of cool. I mean, to be fair, like I'm kind of sick of all the collaborations in Imaginary Fest because I'm like, just give me New Testament characters or give me Genesis Testament characters.
Yeah.
But no, they're just doing like they were just doing like a load of collabs like consecutively.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, okay, if I want to have a collab game, I will go and play Dengeki Crossing Void, which is all the light novel collab gacha. I wouldn't play Toaru Imaginary Fest because I want to play with Toaru characters. I don't want to play with these random ass isekai characters. Like,
but it's an imaginary festival.
But no, to be fair, I get why they do it because it's obviously to get money from it, and they also collab with Nier Automata, which was really crazy because no one expected that.
I was going to point that out.
Yeah,
like one of my games of all time. I thought that was really cool, and I liked how instead of just like adding those characters or whatever, like it's like Tuaru characters wearing those outfits. So I just think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it helps potentially grow Index as a fandom, which is why I don't really mind the collabs because you have that potential of drawing people from other fandoms into the Index fandom, which I think is the ultimate goal. Doing crossovers with unfortunately anime that are much more popular than Index in terms of, anime, not maybe light novels, but like they did the slime crossover, didn't they?
Yeah, that was I think that was the most recent one they did.
Yeah, so I think that anime really blew up. I don't know. I know the light novel is also very popular, but I think that's something that draws a lot of potential fans into the Index fandom.
Yeah, for sure. And they can definitely capitalize that from the budget. And they're obviously putting it in decent places because, they made that really sick opening from the revenue they got from the game. So who knows? Imaginary Fest budget might be the key to New Testament anime.
Yeah, right.
Hey, that got you money. I'll tell you one thing. It makes anime look a fake Grand Order. They made two.
That's true.
They made a whole anime, 2 movies, and a 3rd movie just from gotcha money.
Well, it just shows you it's possible. So, well, we're not endorsing gambling, but
I just wish they
is the way forward.
It's not gambling if you offer it up to the gotcha gods. It's offerings.
It's just my way of giving Kamachi money,
Exactly. Although it probably Square Enix will probably take like 90% of it.
We just won't worry about that. I'm just gonna give a lot of...
All right, let's move on to the next question. Daily Tournament asked like 3 questions. I don't know if that's cheating, but would you be interested in a new video game? If so, what kind and what would it be about? I'm assuming that's Tuaru related. Yeah, obviously. I mean,
you can go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. I mean, I just like because we got that Demon Slayer game kind of recently, and it's kind of like the same company that made Storm. And while I don't think that they're the best video games ever made, like Storm series, I feel like it's pretty much like, obviously, like you don't play those games for like competitive reasons. I mean, you do get some people, but they're not like, they're designed basically, for casual audience. They're not like crazy, Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat like that. But yeah, I wouldn't mind like a 2D or 3D fighting game that you can like have a story mode and explore Academy City. Just like a massive like character pool, just like plays like all the characters from like Old Testament, New Testament. That'd be
Grand Theft Auto Academy City.
Well, yeah, that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not an original idea, but I think a Smash clone, like a platform brawler, would be pretty fun. I'm not really super into 2D fighting games, but I do really like Smash a lot. I don't know. I could see that working well, but
I mean, that
they'd have to be a
Nickelodeon game
blatant
did.
copy. Yeah, yeah, and people seem to actually really like that so far. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I'd like to see a dating sim. I think it's time I get to date
Get
my
out.
waifu.
Get out.
Yeah.
um,
No,
no,
he's preaching.
it's hard for me to really decide on a specific video game because Index has already hit so many genres. It even had is the MMO still going?
There's an MMO.
Yeah, it's Chinese.
I kind of deleted the MMO a while ago. I think it did stop like getting updates for it.
Yeah,
Because you'd often hear like, oh, new characters have been added, but yeah, I mean, it was good for
Imaginary
a while.
Fest sort of overshadowed it.
Yeah, because funny MMO, like it was cool being able to like explore Academy City for the first time. That was like the best part of the game. But the combat for me was like so fucking repetitive. Like you literally just it's more like okay, you have like a mob brawler like Dynasty Warriors or Samurai Warriors, and I love those games. Like I grew up in those games, but they're more like repetitive than that because you're just mashing the same fucking button combination over and over again. It's even more repetitive than like Dynasty Warriors. Like so that's why I kind of deleted it. I was like,
yeah. There's just really not there. Index has already done so many like series types of genres that there's not really a Index type of game that I'm like dying to play. I'd rather honestly have like a heavy object game, like an arena fighter, sort of like Virtual On, that uses the objects.
I'll just use World of Tanks, but it's heavy object.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I don't really have any like desire for an Index video game at the moment. Like it's got the gacha and we've got the 3D fighting game. We've got the MMO. We've had visual novels with the movie tie-in game. And the Railgun game is like a visual novel mixed with a quick time event type of thing.
See, one.
Yeah.
Sorry, one that I would want is I know like the Sword Art Online games. I know the Gun-Gale one was basically like insert like you have your own character and it's fitted into the story. I'd say do one like that for like the Raildex universe. Just give like yourself your own character and customize, and then just fight some other characters.
Oh, Alistair, you got a super chat.
oh, Hydra again, my man.
My 2 pennies are in again. I have 4 now.
Oh yes. No, seriously, FGO and Aeon do be taking my money. JK, maybe. Well, thank you very much, man. Like, I appreciate you supporting the stream. Like, thanks so much. That's all I can say, really. You should ask a question. Give us a super chat, man. Oh, you did ask a question on Twitter, to be fair, and I answered it. So, yeah, appreciate the support. Okay, yeah, we've got a couple more questions. Yes. Daily Toma is basically just like, how many questions can I get away with? Right. Who is a character you want to see return from personal enjoyment, and who is a character you'd like to see to return for how they'd impact Index?
Itsuwa for personal enjoyment. To impact Index, Fiyama, like proper.
Oh, Fiyama. Why?
Yeah, I'd love to see more Itsuwa. That's a good answer.
Well, Fiyama and like his group now, with what's his name? Olaris. After Althenus, they sort of like disappeared and didn't really do any major appearances that I can recall. And I feel like there's still a lot of potential with those characters in terms of like doing fun magic side stuff from characters that are like very powerful within the universe, or like very knowledgeable. So they're just sort of characters that I enjoy. And then part with Itsuwa, it's partly because I feel bad for her getting Index 3's treatment of her, and then Kamachi putting her in a box for the rest of the series.
For sure. I think for personal enjoyment, I would say Esther. I don't know. It's kind of sad that she would just be stuck in the Accelerator series. I don't know. I found her just be super enjoyable. I'd love it if she was an Index. I don't know if she is later. I would assume not. For a character to affect the story, part of me wants to be like weird and say like make Isa relevant somehow, but no, that's probably not gonna. That's definitely not gonna happen. I don't know. Maybe like Aqua. I don't know what happens later, but I would love to see more Aqua. Maybe like Carissa, because I love both of those two.
Where's Frenda?
We don't talk about Frenda. We want to bring back horror. That's how we go back to horror.
I want her bottom half back in the series, please.
Don't we all?
Yo, Baba, chill. All right. Kyrass, you want to go?
Sure. For character, I'm trying to think who it was. Besides Gecko-Eyed Man, no. I would say maybe Vento of the Left.
Front.
Is that her name, right?
Vento the front.
Front. I'm sorry.
Oh, you just triggered
fake
Blue
fan.
Ghost. Blue Ghost, the ultimate Vento fan, is in the chat, and he's just like constantly asking about Vento.
I mean,
Oh,
she only shows up for like half an arc. God, I'm sorry. I don't know my sense of direction. No,
I'd be
she
down
only
for Vento.
yeah, she only shows up for half an arc, and she just wrecks some shit, and then that's it.
Yeah, I want some casual.
And then she
Vento.
got mad at the science side for quote unquote killing her brother, and it's like they didn't
Yeah.
do that. He chose to let you live. And like I just want to see her come back as like a normal person. It's just like, oh yeah, it wasn't science's fault that my brother died.
It wasn't the roller coaster's fault.
Have you seen her her casual design, like when she's in casual clothing?
No, but now I want to see that.
It's very good. It's beautiful.
That'll be
Yeah.
one for the Discord.
And then what was the other one for plot? Or
Yeah.
for plot, I'd say just who was it? I can't. I'm blanking on the name. Oh, never mind. I want to say the. I can't. Well, no, I can't say the name. Kami Saito. I don't want to say anything more.
Kamisato, yeah.
I
The
already
spoilers.
know about him.
Okay, well, I won't say any more, but I want to see him come back because he was an interesting thing that I feel like they could do more with.
Fair enough.
But, like, I can't say more than that because spoilers.
Yeah. Okay, my turn. You know, I just want to see Biagio back because Biagio has impacted me more than any other character I've read in fiction, just from how he's presented as just such a sympathetic villain.
And Baba?
Yeah, but Baba's just Baba will just break out of his little dungeon he has, like, that's been flooded in, and he'll just be ready to destroy, like, the magic gods when he does that. But
He's just waiting for the right moment.
but no, on a serious note, I'd like to see Thor or Olorus back. But from Old Testament, maybe Isua. I want to say Aqua, but Aqua's kind of been just shafted just because he doesn't really have much power left now because of World War III and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Or,
let's
yeah.
see. By the way, we got like a question about like, does anyone know who like Dr. Fate? Does anyone read like DC? 'Cause
Yeah.
If not, okay, because I know nothing about this. So you can answer
Wait,
this
what was
question. Like, there's like a question about like Dr. Fate from like DC Comics. Is it DC?
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it's DC, isn't he?
Dr. Fate. Yeah, I don't really know much about him specifically though.
What's the question?
It's just how OP would Index be if she wore the helmet of fate?
Very, very OP. Just the guy inside the helmet is like basically a magic god in his own right. He knows like a lot of magic related shit and stuff. So
does it scale with magical knowledge?
Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't. The more knowledge he has doesn't make him more powerful. He just has a lot of knowledge. He's also very powerful magic. So just like give Index's entire arsenal to someone who would know how to use it and can use it properly. That's basically it's basically the DC universe of Index, but Index can fight back.
Nice.
Well, thank you. I'm glad we had a resident DC reader in the podcast. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to answer that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Last question was about GT. So we probably can't answer it. Well, maybe we could answer it, but it's very, very vaguely.
Very circular way.
I mean,
yes.
I can take my headphones off for a few minutes.
Yeah, mute them. No, we'll answer it vaguely or just ignore it. Sorry, man. Xavier Gordon asked that previous question about Helmet of Fate. Sorry, I should have mentioned the names. And Style asks, opinions on the way Accelerator is in GT at the moment?
Logical. I think I think it's a sensible direction for his character. Because he's so like held back by what happened. And it's clearly like he's constantly judging himself, and it's not something I think he'll ever like overcome purely like, oh, well, I'm doing good things now, therefore my sins have been rewritten, because he's never been a character who sees himself as a hero. Like even after he like sort of throws away the whole I'm a villain thing, he's still never really became I'm a hero. But I think I won't go into what I think will happen with it, but from what I think of Accelerator in the direction, I think it's probably the most real thing he could have done, you know, that you don't really see anti-heroes do often in terms of taking responsibility for their action.
Yeah, I mean, I never really expected this direction for him, but yeah, I think it's really added a new dimension to his character, and I won't go any further.
Yeah.
I guess we're the only two that can answer it because we're one's caught
GT. All
right. But I guess you guys have this to look forward to because, like from like the end of Old Testament, like at least this is from my perspective, like with World War III, like I feel like that was like the ultimate conclusion to Accelerator's character, and I was like thinking, where can he go from here? Like, how can he improve? Like, but damn, like Kamachi, like he just keeps surprising us. Like he takes Accelerators to the directions I never expected, and I think that's something that you have to look forward to without knowing the spoilers.
Yeah, because it's like probably I don't think anyone would have ever expected it because it's such like a human, like real world thing to do in a series that you're like constantly thinking, what's the most insane thing that could happen next? And you never think, oh wait, this is like sort of mundane in a way. So it's even more shocking. Yeah.
Well, you guys got me excited now.
Oh, for sure. Like, yeah, people on Twitter like to give Genesis Testament some stick, but it's done a lot of things really fucking well and a lot of surprises. Like, because you'd think like a series going on for this long and Kamachi just being Kamachi, oh yeah, it'll just be like same old, but no, it's actually there's still like a lot of fresh material like keeps it interesting, even though the series has been going on for like more than 15 years now.
Yeah, a lot of people really want Kamachi to sort of rush through this development part, but I hope he takes his time with it.
Yeah, for real. Like, honestly, I'm seeing like so many people on Twitter that are just complaining, and
Yeah.
like they don't. I just think, have they actually fucking read like the beginning sections of Old Testament or the beginning section of the New Testament? Because I mean, you guys both know that there's a lot of build up and index, right?
Yeah.
And they're just expecting, just like, okay, all the like just expecting like basically an ofteness arc to happen right at the start, and they don't get the reason why the ofteness arc is so fucking good is because there's so much build up to it.
Yeah.
And that it actually improves all the arcs that go before it, because it's like, okay, you kind of see these events prior to it from a different light now, from how like Toma has interacted in these situations and how that affects his relationship with Ofnus. Like I'm just lost for words. Like, you just give him the time, and every time Kamachi has had build up with Will or Free, with Ofnus, he always fucking delivers, and he delivers fucking hard. And you can't have a series that they say, oh yeah, okay, the series peaks with Ofnus, or the series peaks with Will or Free, or the series peaks with XYZ arc. And it's like, you can't have those peaks without the fucking build up. It doesn't. You can't have like all peak.
That's not how narrative works.
Yeah,
Exactly. And when I see people like that, it's like,
did you not take high school English?
Yeah, you literally endured 13 volumes of build-up in Old Testament to get to the God's Right Seat saga or arc. 13. Like, any sane person would think, oh, okay, that's too much build-up for me. I'm go pass on that.
Yeah.
Well,
And to be fair, some people do say it like jokingly, but there's also just as many people who are very like, I can't say what they're very up in arms about, but I hope like Kamachi doesn't hear this from the Japanese fandom.
Yeah, I mean, I went in rant mode for that. But I just feel like really strongly about that, because I just feel like, how can you be an Index fan and not expect like a slow build up? Like, it just blows my mind. Like, you've got up to this stage and you're expecting like a peak arc. Like,
how did you get here?
Exactly. I've always thought so far I've thought Kamachi's done an amazing job with the build-up. I really enjoyed the build-up. I mean, the Oathness arc wouldn't be impactful whatsoever if there was no build-up at all. I mean, that's why it's so hard.
Same with World War III. Like, you have all those volumes to go through, and then the payoff.
Yeah.
The only reason it pays off is because you're invested.
Yeah, it's this really weird mindset that people have, and maybe it's just because so many newer people join the fandom, but it seems like every time a new book comes out, everyone's or like, you have this big group of people who expect it to be, oh, this is going to be World War III tier. Like, they think it's like going to be on the same level as like the finale books of every arc, you know? So it's like, oh, this is going to be the Authenus. This is going to be Alistair. This is going to be World War III. And it's like, chill out for a second. It always builds up, and then they release this like build up chapter, and they're like disappointed, and it's like, this is how it's been for every single book. But after they do the build up, like the climax, then everybody looks back on those books and like, oh yeah, these books were good. And it's like, you didn't say it was good whenever it was like coming out. It's just flabbergasting.
That's exactly what happened with GT4, to be fair, because you did get a few people complaining about it, but I think you can't fully judge it at this stage until you know where the direction is, you know, the climax of this particular plot point.
And you see so much build up in that arc. It's like so clearly designed to be a build up arc. And part of it, I guess, is Kamachi's fault in that he introduces I won't say what they did, but I don't think it's a secret that Kazakirian style or Kanzakian style came back in that one. So everybody was like, oh, it's like the old gang is back together. But a lot of people had like expectations for that, which I do think Kamachi sort of like, he should have expected people would have these high expectations for such like a classic team. But I don't think because he fell through on that plot point that it was a bad arc by any means.
Well, that was a nice way to send off the podcast, I think, with that passionate discussion. All right. So we have been rambling on for quite a while now. So if you have just joined or if you've been watching from the start, thank you very much for watching. We appreciate all the support for the podcast, and we will definitely be making this more of a regular occurrence. Once like Genesis Testament 5 comes out, we'll probably do a specific Genesis Testament 5 podcast, but we'll also be doing like different podcasts like this, just rambling about different points from the series. Because like this franchise, there's a lot to talk about, and we don't always have to like stick to the plan. So there's, I feel like in the previous podcast we were too like set in a ways. We have to talk about this or that. But I feel like if we just let it flow naturally, we can always like bring up a new topic of discussion to help. And I think that's the best way to do this podcast in the future. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Like I said, and do you guys want to say your goodbyes or have anything to say?
I'll just say thank you for having me on as per usual. Sorry if I ever rambled or went off topic.
Now, this is a rambling podcast.
Right?
Rambling is allowed because that's how we fill out the 2 hours plus.
Well, thank you for having me on, and thank you to the audience for bearing with me. That's all I really have to say.
You can go.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say thanks for having me again. I know it's been a while since I've been on one of these. It's always great to come on. Love to be on again sometime whenever something relevant I can help with comes up.
Sweet, thank you.
Cool. All right. Yeah, and thank you for having me on. This was a lot of fun. And, it's nice to just talk about one of my favorite series with people that are just as passionate about as I am.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, guys. And we'll definitely do this again sometime in the foreseeable future. I think this has gone really well considering we haven't done like a podcast like this in a while. So I feel like this was pretty much went as good as it could do, in my opinion. So yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. And be sure to, if you follow them in the description, whether they have like Twitter or YouTube, all the links are in the description. So you can follow Mal on Twitter, and Kyrass has Twitter, and also Emerald has YouTube where he rants about, well, not rants, but talks about the series as he reads it, I guess, but also just drops his thoughts. So kind of similar in a podcast format, I guess, but just on your own that time. So it's nice to be able to join us this time, I think, with other people. We just got a super chat from Manny. Thank you very much, Manny. I'm glad to hear you enjoy the podcast as well.
Hey, we can split this evenly. It's American monies. 50 cents for everyone.
It's my inferior British currency. Nah, I'm just kidding. The British pound is worth more than the American dollar. Get wrecked.
What even is money?
What is money? That's a good question.
Join us next podcast. What even is Toaru currency?
Oh, that's a good one. Maybe it's like Poke Dollars.
It's yen.
How strong is Academy City's economy?
That is a good video. Hang on, write that down.
Okay, yeah, that's one for the list. All right. Yep, see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Ciao.